Chapter 941. As the third princess brought shower to look for the Donglu general, Wang Kai did not remain idle. He used Vanishing Shadow to summon Eunuch Lu to the overflowing fragrance garden. "Has the warlord heard anything about Ben Shao?" Wang Kai asked casually as he squinted his eyes. Now that he was a second-grade chaotic martial king, although he was still no match for the warlord, he was very close to being able to fight him. He asked this because he did not want to fall out with the warlord. After all, he had taken advantage of the warlord's daughter. If he fought with the warlord, who was the father, it would be inappropriate. "I admire you very much. Not only did you defeat Zhang Qingxiao, the head of the Zhang family, in one move, but you also used a strange technique in the Warlord Martial Club to defeat Master One, the second strongest person in the dynasty. Amazing, amazing." Eunuch Lu gave him a thumbs up and praised him. When he heard this, Wang Kai raised his eyebrows. It seemed that his answer was very clear. The warlord knew everything that he had done, and he knew it very well. "What does the warlord mean?" Wang Kai asked flatly. Hearing this, Eunuch Lu raised his eyebrows and smiled. He looked around with shifty eyes and said sinisterly, "The warlord's intention is naturally for me to kill you." Buzz. Suddenly, Eunuch Lu flipped his hand and took out a silver dagger. He thrust it forward, aiming for Wang Kai's throat. The two of them were very close to each other. Caught off guard, Eunuch Lu attacked in the blink of an eye. Daluo metal body. Even though he was a chaotic martial king, he could not dodge a sneak attack from a chaotic martial ancestor at such a close distance. He could only activate his cultivation technique and turn his body into a metal body. Clang! Bang! The sound of metal clashing was heard as the dagger in Eunuch Lu's hand was shattered by Wang Kai's throat. Eunuch Lu's body was also sent flying by Wang Kai's slap, causing him to vomit blood. "Your realm, cough cough." Eunuch Lu's face was ashen as he was sent flying by the palm strike. His chest heaved up and down, and he felt as if he could die at any moment. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and reached out to touch his throat. With a rather mocking smile, he said, "You really surprised Ben Shao. Your life is clearly in Ben Shao's hands, yet you dared to launch a sneak attack and try to kill Ben Shao?" Eunuch Lu shook his head and sighed. Nothing is too deceitful in war. Only when you think that I won't act rashly would the effect be maximized. If you want to blame someone, you can only blame yourself for being too confident. Unfortunately, I'm not strong enough to kill you." Wang Kai did not refute this. Indeed, from the very beginning, Wang Kai had never thought that Eunuch Lu would launch a sneak attack on him. After all, the Vanishing Shadow ability had taken control of him. If he resisted, he would die. It was precisely because of this that he was able to gain the upper hand. However, it was fortunate that he had a cultivation technique like the Daluo Vajrabadi. Due to the difference in realm, he could not harm himself at all. Ben Shao has always been very confident and will not change anything at all. The reason why he let his guard down against you is because he gave you a chance. You don't have the ability to kill Ben Shao. Just like now, Ben Shao is standing here and letting you slash him thousands of times. What can he do? Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and said with a disdainful smile, "A Chaos Martial Grandmaster launching a sneak attack on a Chaos Martial King would indeed fall into the trap if he let his guard down, but he would not lose his life. He would not even be injured. Of course, if both parties were Chaos Martial Grandmasters, even if they were many small realms apart, the previous attack would not be fatal, but he would definitely be injured. Unfortunately, Wang Kai was no longer a Chaos Martial Grandmaster, but a Chaos Martial King. Even if you have cultivated a secret technique that can instantly strengthen your physique, you will definitely not be unharmed. Who exactly are you? A Chaos Martial King in the King's territory. You can't be the Fire King." Eunuch Lu gritted his teeth and said sinisterly. Wang Kai shrugged and said with a disdainful expression, "You know it too late. However, you still have a chance to live. Tell me, who sent you to kill Ben Shao? Is it really the warlord?" Swoosh! Eunuch Lu's pupils suddenly shrank. After rolling his eyes a few times, he did not answer directly. Instead, he said in a low voice, "Are you sure you will let me live?" From bang. A crack. However, before Wang Kai could reply, Eunuch Lu let out a miserable shriek. His body directly exploded, turning into a rain of blood and minced meat that scattered all over the ground. It's not the warlord. Wang Kai frowned. He already had a guess in his heart. He turned to look around and said indifferently, "Who exactly is it? Come out." The only people who had a grudge against him were Eunuch Lu, Zhan Qingxiao, and Masterwen. There was no one else, but neither Zhan Qingxiao nor Masterwen could have ordered Eunuch Lu to kill him in such a short period of time. Could it really be the warlord? Seeing that no one responded, and at the same time, his divine consciousness could not detect the aura around him, Wang Kai could not help but frown. He felt that it was strange. If he could not detect who had done it, it meant that the person who had secretly killed Eunuch Lu had to be very powerful, at least more powerful than him. In the king's territory, besides him, there were two other powerful 7th-grade Chaos Martial Kings. One was the Fire King, and the other was the Warlord. If they had attacked, it would indeed be difficult for him to detect. However, the Fire King would not appear in the Warlord dynasty. Forget it. Although I can use the system to directly find out who did it, wouldn't that be very boring? Ben Shao, let's see how long you can hide. Ben Shao will take on this Taoist disciple. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled mockingly. He simply did not care about this matter anymore. He could do whatever he wanted. As for Eunuch Lu's death, Wang Kai did not care at all. His original plan was to kill Eunuch Lu after he revealed who had ordered him to do it. Although he did not get an answer now, Eunuch Lu was dead, and he did not have to do it himself. Damn Dong Lu. Back then, I pleaded with my father to save his life. Now that I have asked him to guard the overflowing fragrance garden, he actually refused. Footsteps could be heard outside the room, followed by the third princess's complaints. When Wang Kai heard this, he could not help but grimace. After all this time, the third princess had gone to ask for reinforcements, but had failed. Thud! As the door was pushed open, the third princess and Xiao walked in. They hurriedly covered their noses and saw the minced flesh and blood on the ground. What? What happened? Are you okay? The third princess hurriedly ran to Wang Kai and asked worriedly. As soon as she left, something happened. This situation made the third princess hate the great general of Dong Lu even more. Chapter 942. Ben Shao is fine, but what about you? You didn't invite that Dong-something general? Wang Kai stood up and walked out of the room with a smile on his face. Oomph. Don't mention that damned bastard again. I saved his life back then, and now I'm asking him to do something for me. How dare he tell me that he has a duty and can't leave without permission? The third princess gritted her teeth and snorted angrily. Chow, take Little Blossom and clean up the place. Let Little Blossom eat everything on the floor. Yes, princess. Chow bowed slightly as she accepted the order. At the same time, she secretly glanced at Wang Kai. Although she didn't know what had happened between him and the princess, she was very clear that he would have to serve two masters now. Let the spirit snake eat it. When Xiao returned to the room with the spirit snake, Wang Kai rubbed his nose in amazement. It wasn't a big deal for a demon beast to eat a human, but the one who had died was the head eunuch of the palace, Eunuch Lu. What? No matter who it is, as long as he dares to assassinate you, even if he dies, he will die without a complete corpse. The third princess said coldly. When he heard this, Wang Kai grimaced and waved his hand awkwardly. Ben Shao didn't kill him. Furthermore, the one who died was the head eunuch, Eunuch Lu, who wanted to clean Ben Shao's body. I heard that he had always served the warlord, but he died without a complete corpse. Okay? What? Eunuch Lu? You didn't kill him? What do you mean? The third princess was stunned. For a moment, she was confused by Wang Kai's words. Eunuch Lu was indeed here to kill Ben Shao, but he failed in the end. Before Ben Shao could ask who sent him, he was killed. Wang Kai shrugged and explained simply. Could it be Masterwen? Third princess frowned and asked in a low voice. I don't think so. If Masterwen wanted to kill me, he would have come here personally. Even if there was a mistake, he wouldn't be able to find Eunuch Lu to kill Ben Shao in such a short period of time. Moreover, he's still in the Battle Monarch dojo right now. As long as he's not around, he would be able to find out. He wouldn't be that stupid. Wang Kai shook his head. Even if Master One came, he would have to wait until the dojo closed at night. Of course, Wang Kai didn't say anything more important. Eunuch Lu had been called over by Wang Kai using the vanishing shadow ability. Who could have accurately calculated the time difference? How could it be so coincidental that he knew that he was calling Eunuch Lu at this time? After that, he ordered him to kill him. In Wang Kai's opinion, it was completely impossible. Could it be Zhan Qingxiao? Third princess asked again. In response, Wang Kai waved his hand and said rather helplessly, "Don't let your imagination run wild. It's not Master One, and it's not Zhan Qingxiao either. However, you've reminded me. Let Xiao, or go and find out who entered the palace today. Oh, right, those with high official positions that can surpass Eunuch Lu's." Because of third princess's doubts, Wang Kai couldn't help but think again. After some thought, he found some clues. Now, what Wang Kai suspected was that his enemy, the person who wanted his life, happened to be in the palace and coincidentally met Eunuch Lu, forcing him to come and kill him. If that wasn't the case, then the only suspect left was the Battle Monarch. You mean, I almost forgot. When I went to find General Dong Lu, I saw Prince Chun Lu and Eunuch Lu at the Xuanwu Gate. Third princess blinked and said in shock, "Whoosh." Hearing this, Wang Kai's eyes narrowed. He looked around and muttered with a smile, "Prince Chun Lu? That can't be. Wasn't Prince Chun Lu's strength inferior to Master Wen's? If that was the case, how could he have secretly killed Eunuch Lu without Wang Kai knowing? It must be him. Damn it. I'm going to ask my father to kill that outsider from the Great Qin dynasty." Third princess gritted her teeth and said coldly. As soon as she finished speaking, the third princess turned around and left without a second thought. Wang Kai was helpless. He reached out and pressed on her shoulder. Shaking his head, he said, "There's no evidence. It's useless to find anyone. Furthermore, even if there was evidence, the Battle Monarch wouldn't have killed Prince Chun Lu so easily. Otherwise, he would have been destroyed along with the Great Qin dynasty. Then what should we do? How dare they sneak in my overflowing fragrance garden to kill someone?" Third princess's face was cold, but she was furious. Originally, the palace was the safest place. Overflowing fragrance garden, as the princess's bedroom, was even safer. However, who would have thought that someone would choose such a place to kill? Don't worry. With Ben Shao around, no matter who comes here, they will only end up dead. You need to know that Ben Shao is invincible. The most awesome. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled proudly. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience and 20 bragging points. What time is it now? Why are you still bragging? If you have the ability, why didn't you find that thief and kill him? Third princess pouted and said disdainfully. Hearing this, Wang Kai shrugged and didn't care. If he wanted to find out who it was, he only needed to use the system and it would be clear in an instant. However, Wang Kai felt that if he did that, wouldn't he miss out on the fun of eating meat like a wolf? Sometimes, it was more fun to rely on oneself and play to one's heart's content. Princess, Little Blossom has broken through. This is, suddenly Chowder screamed and ran out. Behind her, the spiritual snake followed her happily. It is natural for him to break through. Eunuch Lu is a chaotic martial ancestor. His flesh and blood have been swallowed by Little Blossom. The chaotic energy in it is naturally very strong. Third princess said casually. What? The one who died is Eunuch Lu? Chow! Covered her face and exclaimed. For a moment, she was stunned. Hiss. Crack, crack. However, those words caused Xiao Hua's body to stiffen. She opened her mouth and began to spit out the seeds. Then, she began to spit them out. Little Blossom, who was already intelligent, naturally knew what Eunuch Lu meant. Unfortunately, all the flesh and blood had been turned into chaotic energy and absorbed by Little Blossom. Even if it wanted to vomit, it couldn't vomit anything out. Even a demonic beast doesn't like eunuchs? Wang Kai touched his nose and looked at Little Blossom, who was vomiting. He couldn't help but laugh. Plop! Little Blossom, the spiritual snake, couldn't vomit anything out. It turned over, and its lower body was facing up. It didn't move at all. Little Blossom, when Third Princess and Xiao saw this, their faces changed, and they screamed. It's okay, it may have fainted from fright, or it may have fainted from disgust. Ahem, it may also have fainted from anger. In short, it will be fine when it wakes up. Wang Kai grinned and said with amusement. Chapter 943. In the middle of the night. In the overflowing fragrance garden, Wang Kai sat on a chair with his legs crossed. He looked at the stars in the night sky and drank tea. Beside him, the third princess did not leave his side. She also brought out a chair and sat with Wang Kai in the courtyard. However, the third princess seemed to be very nervous. She held the silver long sword tightly in her hand, and the spiritual snake was lying on her shoulder. Chow! Stood behind the third princess with a worried look on her face. She stood there nervously. The corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitched when he saw this scene. What kind of bad guy could come out from their looks? It was obvious that someone was going to kill them. I say, can you guys relax a little? Also, why are you holding a broken sword? The other party is a chaotic martial ancestor. He can't do anything here. Go back and sleep. Wang Kai frowned and waved his hand speechlessly. Chow! Blinked her beautiful eyes, and her heart was in her mouth. She reminded the third princess in a low voice. The emperor's son-in-law is right. Princess, you should go back and rest. Even if the murderer comes, we won't be of much help. We might even be a burden. Hiss, hiss. On the other hand, the spirit snake did not seem to want to go back at all. It jumped from the third princess' shoulder to Wang Kai's shoulder. It spat out its tongue and scanned the surroundings with its green eyes. Look, Xiao Hua doesn't want to go back. As the emperor's son-in-law's wife, can I go back? A real husband and wife should face difficulties together. If we go our separate ways, we will be promiscuous. The third princess pouted and said firmly. Wang Kai was helpless and speechless. He did not expect the third princess to have such thoughts and say such words. It was completely unlike what a princess should say. Xiaohua is staying here because she wants to take the opportunity to eat the murderer to break through. Why are you staying here? Go back and rest. In the origin continent, no one can hurt Ben Xiao. Wang Kai shrugged and said confidently, Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 2,000 experience and 20 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the third-grade chaotic martial king realm. Hiss, hiss. At this moment, the spirit snake flowery also spat out its tongue and nodded towards the third princess a few times, indicating that Wang Kai was right. It had indeed stayed behind to devour humans. Aren't you afraid that the person will be a eunuch? The third princess blinked her beautiful eyes and said with a playful smile. Whoosh! The spiritual snake Xiao Hua fell to the ground. Spiritual snake Xiao Hua's body turned white and fell. Its spiritual snake, Xiao Hua of the snake's spiritual snake fell. It fell to the ground and fainted again. Little Flower, seeing this, the third princess panicked. She didn't expect Little Flower to still be in the shadows. Of the princess of the world of the princess. Is it easy to be a pet? It protects you and listens to your orders. In the end, it has to be disgusted by you. Wang Kai shook his head and laughed. How am I disgusting? It's just that its willpower is not strong enough. Oomph. The third princess snorted and pretended to be unhappy. Chow, take Xiao Hua and leave first. No matter what you hear, don't come out. Do you understand? Wang Kai waved his hand and said, But the princess, just go. I'm fine. The third princess said indifferently, Forget it. If she wants to stay here, then let her stay. Seeing that the third princess was so insistent, Wang Kai let her be for the time being. He closed his eyes slowly and secretly used his mind to communicate with the system. Chaotic Martial King Realm Martial Skill. Upgrade function. When Wang Kai opened the system, he suddenly discovered that there was an additional function called upgrade in the system page. However, the option of the upgrade function had not been activated yet. What does the upgrade function mean? Wang Kai frowned and used his mind to ask. Host, activate the upgrade function. You can upgrade cultivation techniques, martial skills, weapons, and other magic treasures, heavenly materials, earthly treasures, and everything in the world to a higher level. Things that are not in the system can also be upgraded. Wang Kai asked in surprise. Host, no matter where you come from, you can upgrade. Swish. As the notification sounded, Wang Kai's heart skipped a beat. In that case, in the future, wouldn't he be able to upgrade things outside the system to show off and even sell them? In the past, the things in the system, such as cultivation techniques, martial skills, and so on, could not be used by others. Even if some magic treasures could be used by others, weapons had restrictions. This also caused Wang Kai to be unable to help Fatty Lu and the others break through their realms and even safely save their lives. Now, if he could upgrade things outside the system, wouldn't he be able to help others? Quickly activate the upgrade function. Wang Kai urged in his mind, pleasantly surprised. Congratulations to the host for successfully activating the upgrade function. A total of 100 bragging points have been consumed. Host, Wang Kai occupation, chaotic martial artist realm, chaotic martial king, grade 3, cultivation technique, Daluo diamond bottom martial skill, void hand equipment, chaos sky swallowing halberd bragging points, 380 experience, 05000. As the notification disappeared, the system page appeared. Wang Kai glanced at it and saw that only his bragging points had decreased by 100. After there were no other changes, he used his mind to close it. The part that belonged to the upgrade function showed that it had been successfully activated. Let's upgrade Daluo Diamond Body and Void Hand first, Wang Kai said in his mind. Congratulations to the host for successfully upgrading Daluo Diamond Body to Chaotic Martial King level cultivation technique. A total of 100 bragging points have been consumed. Congratulations to the host for successfully upgrading Void Hand to Chaotic Martial King level cultivation technique. A total of 100 bragging points have been consumed. A total of 100 bragging points have been consumed. Wang Kai frowned slightly. He couldn't help but click on the Chaotic Martial King level cultivation technique and martial skill to compare. Seeing that each required 100 bragging points, he nodded in satisfaction. Let's upgrade the Chaos Sky-Swallowing Halberd as well. Congratulations to the host for successfully upgrading Chaos Sky-Swallowing Halberd to Chaotic Martial King level. A total of 100 bragging points have been consumed. After all the upgrades were completed, Wang Kai frowned and used his mind to ask, after reaching Chaotic Martial King level, has the ability to surpass levels increased? Host, at your current realm, you can no longer increase your ability to surpass levels. Only when you reach the almighty level will you be able to increase it again. Hearing the notification, Wang Kai's mouth twitched slightly. After all this time, he had only increased his combat strength slightly. It was temporarily impossible to surpass levels again. Why aren't they here yet? Could it be that they are afraid of Ben Xiao? Wang Kai slowly opened his eyes and looked around the quiet, overflowing fragrance garden. He was extremely impatient. Were you lying to me before? Master Wen didn't want to kill you at all, right? The third princess frowned and asked suspiciously. Chapter 944. You said that Ben Xiao lied to you? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and asked with a tense expression. Whoosh! Seeing that Wang Kai's expression was not right, the third princess's beautiful eyes flickered. She was extremely flustered. She hurriedly got up and sat in Wang Kai's arms. She wrapped her slender arms around his neck and said softly, No, I was just joking. Don't do it next time. This kind of joke is not funny. Wang Kai nodded slightly and said with an indifferent expression. They waited for an entire night, until the next morning, Master Wen still did not come to kill them. Such a situation caused Wang Kai's expression to become extremely ugly and ashen. Seeing that Wang Kai was in a bad mood, The third princess did not dare to say much. Last night, because she did not believe him, she was ignored for the entire night. Since then, the two of them had not spoken a word. The third princess, who had learned her lesson, did not dare to say anything else. F*CKU. You're really not coming? Really not coming? Huh? Whoosh. Wang Kai suddenly stood up, the veins on his forehead bulging. It could be said that he deeply and thoroughly hated Master One in his heart. If it was said that he had to kill him before, then now, he had to beat him up and crush him into minced meat. Report. The warlord has ordered for the third princess to come to the main hall of the palace immediately. Suddenly, a voice like that of a male duck was heard. A fair-skinned eunuch walked quickly into the overflowing fragrance garden. How dare you? Who are you? How dare you linger in the third princess's overflowing fragrance garden? The eunuch was about to bow when he saw Wang Kai standing beside the third princess. He was shocked and angry and immediately reprimanded him. I'm your grandfather. Scram. Buzz. Bang. Suddenly, Wang Kai, who was in a rage, did not indulge him. He directly slapped the eunuch, causing him to vomit blood and fly out of the overflowing fragrance garden. Well done, husband, well done. That damned servant. He doesn't know his place. He deserves a beating. The third princess blinked her beautiful eyes and hurriedly clapped her hands and cheered. The corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitched slightly. He understood that the third princess was afraid of him. Helpless, he hugged her and said softly, Fair, you don't have to worry. Bin Xiao is just a little upset. Think about it. Bin Xiao is an earth-shattering figure who can shatter the Genesis continent with a stomp of his feet. Master One actually made Bin Xiao wait for him for an entire night. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. Ugh. After being hugged by Wang Kai all of a sudden and hearing him call out Fei Er's name softly, the third princess' body softened. She murmured softly, That's right. That Master One really doesn't know what's good for him. Well, he really doesn't know what's good for him. Do you think he should be killed? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and said with a cold light. He should be killed. The third princess, who was in a drunken stupor, replied almost instinctively. That's right. He should be killed. You go to the palace to see the warlord first. Bin Xiao will go to the Warlord Martial Arts Club and cripple Master One. Wang Kai said with a cold smile. Okay, what? No. The Warlord Martial Arts Club is my father's pride. If I kill Master One there. Swoosh. However, before the third princess could finish her sentence, Wang Kai's figure had already disappeared. Aya, why was I so silly just now? No, I must inform my father as soon as possible. Wang Kai and I have already done it as husband and wife. When the time comes, he can be pardoned for his crimes. After thinking about it, the third princess called Qiao and anxiously rushed to the palace's main hall. Since yesterday, the third princess had already known that Wang Kai's cultivation was not weaker than Master Wen's. In fact, he was even stronger. Therefore, the third princess was not worried that Wang Kai would be defeated. After all, not everyone had the ability to knock Master Wen to the ground. At the same time, in front of the Warlord Martial Arts Club, spots of light appeared and gathered together to form Wang Kai's figure. Such a strange technique shocked the disciple who had just opened the door of the Warlord Martial Arts Club. He was so shocked that he fell to the ground. You, Wang Kai, you are a Chaos Martial King? The disciple pointed at Wang Kai and exclaimed in shock. He knew very well that only a Chaos Martial King would have such a technique. Although he had never seen it before, he had heard about it from the masters in the Warlord Martial Arts Club. The Chaos Martial King realm was unpredictable. He could scatter himself into spots of light and disappear without a trace. He could also gather the spots of light and travel thousands of miles in an instant. The scene that Wang Kai had just appeared was exactly the same as the master's explanation. Where is Master One? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and asked nonchalantly, Master One God, could it be that he is here for revenge? The disciple was shocked when he heard that. He was very clear about the many conflicts between Master One and Wang Kai. Ben Shao is asking you a question. Didn't you hear him? Wang Kai said nonchalantly. Swoosh. Plop. The disciple was so frightened that his face turned pale. He quickly knelt on the ground and pointed at the Warlord Martial Arts Club. He said in a trembling voice, Master, Master One is in the B class. He is inside. Buzz. As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Kai's body turned into spots of light and disappeared in front of the disciple's frightened eyes. God, he is really a chaos martial king. However, when Wang Kai arrived at the B class, he did not see any trace of Master Wen. In a fit of anger, he released his divine thought to search. You're Wang Kai, right? Why are you here so early? Suddenly, a voice rang out beside his ear. Wang Kai's eyebrows twitched slightly as he turned around, only to see a white-haired elder standing in front of him. It's simple. Kill Master One, Wang Kai said indifferently with his hands behind his back. Then, his figure turned into a speck of light and disappeared. After searching with his divine thought, he did not find any trace of Master Wen, a chaos martial king. He wants to kill Master Wen? Oh no, the crown prince of the Fire Empire just arrived at the Warlord Palace. Master Wen has just gone over. If he barges in, buzz. The white-haired old man's eyes flashed. Then, his body turned into specks of light and disappeared. If Wang Kai was here, or anyone else who saw this scene, they would be extremely shocked. It was rumored that there was only one Chaos Martial King in the Warlord Empire, the Warlord. Now, there was another Chaos Martial King. Master One, this aura is Feiya. Then, the most powerful one is the Warlord? Wait, there's another aura. A Chaos Martial King? 2. Could it be the Fire Emperor? It shouldn't be. The Fire Emperor and the Warlord should have the same aura, but this one is obviously much weaker. What's going on? When Wang Kai used his spiritual sense to cover the entire royal city, the aura he sensed was far beyond his expectations. Chapter 945. Bastard, I, Ling Fei'er, already have a husband. It's impossible for me to be with you. Please scram back to your Fire King dynasty. Third Princess Ling Fei'er's face was ashen as she angrily rebuked in the palace hall. Her words immediately caused the expressions of the surrounding officials to change. They all turned to look at the middle-aged man standing at the front. That middle-aged man was wearing a fiery red dragon robe. He had a head full of red hair, and even his eyebrows were blood red in color. This caused his already handsome face to appear even more bewitching when contrasted by the redness. Even though he was middle-aged, he still had a demeanor that did not lose to the handsome young masters of the younger generation. In fact, his aura was even better. This person was the only prince of the Fire King dynasty and the current crown prince, Huichong. Beside him stood Grandmaster, one of the Battle King Martial Dojo. Both of them had high statuses and high cultivations. As soon as they entered the palace hall, they were immediately chosen to stand at the front of the officials. The officials did not say anything about this. In terms of status and strength, they were indeed inferior. Third Princess, why are you angry? Our engagement is not up to the two of us to decide. We still need to see if the Battle King agrees. Huichong smiled and turned to the old man sitting on the dragon throne and cupped his fists together. The old man wore a golden dragon robe. Although his hair was white and his face was thin, his eyes flickered with a sharp light. He was like an impenetrable wall that gave off an extremely powerful feeling. This old man was Wang Shang of the Battle King dynasty, Ling Shao. When he heard Huichong address him as an old man, the Battle King's eyes darkened. A cold light flashed in his eyes, but he did not fly into a rage. Fei'er, don't be rude. Step aside and wait. The Battle King glanced at the third princess and pretended to be displeased as he reprimanded her. Father, I already said that I have a husband and have privately pledged my life to Huichong. I will not marry Huichong. Furthermore, he has already married eldest sister, yet he still wants to. This is simply unreasonable. No matter what, I will not agree to it. The third princess said through gritted teeth. The warlord frowned slightly in response. A trace of helplessness flashed across his eyes, but it quickly disappeared. Lord Warlord, even though Crown Prince Hua Chong married the eldest princess 4 years ago, the relationship between the two dynasties has improved and the war has been calmed down. Moreover, Crown Prince Hua Chong is here to marry the third princess, and he will give 100 cities of the Fire Dynasty to our Warlord Dynasty. Warlord, please think twice for the sake of the country. Grandmaster Wen cupped his fists and said loudly. 100 cities were ceded. Whoosh. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone present was shocked. Among them, many of the ministers were already tempted. The ceding of 100 cities was not a small number. After all, regardless of whether it was the War King Dynasty or the Fire King Dynasty, the number of cities they each possessed did not exceed 1,000. To give up a tenth of the land in one go, it could be said that this was a big deal. Shut up, you bastard. Are you trying to get royal father to sell me to the Fire King Dynasty? As a teacher, how can you add fuel to the fire in such a despicable matter? You are simply a bastard. The third princess's eyes turned cold as she stared at Grandmaster One and scolded him sternly. At that moment, she even wanted to kill him. At the same time, the third princess could not help but complain about Wang Kai in her heart. She did not know where he had gone to find people. If he had killed Grandmaster One, such a despicable matter would not have happened. Third princess, everything I do is for the sake of the War King Dynasty. I will not take personal feelings into consideration. Even if my actions will cause the world to scold me, as long as the War King Dynasty is indestructible, I will be fine. Grandmaster Wen said solemnly. His words won the approval of many of the ministers. This caused their hearts, which were already in an uproar over the 100 cities, to become even more restless. Lord Warlord, please agree to this marriage. After Grandmaster Wen took the lead to ask for instructions, many of the ministers echoed his words. Faced with such a situation, the third princess's body trembled and her mind went blank. At that moment, she did not know what to say or do. In particular, the strange smile on Hua Chong's face made the third princess secretly afraid. Lord Warlord, may I be so bold as to say this? This matter cannot be agreed to. Suddenly, an extremely ear-piercing voice rang out, causing everyone's gazes to look over. At the head of the civil officials, a white-haired elder cupped his fists together and asked for instructions. His face was filled with unyielding disdain. It was as if the marriage with the Fire King Dynasty was a shameful matter. Also, do not agree to it. If the Fire King Dynasty does not know what is good for them and does not know what is good for them, I request for the army to attack. At the same time, at the head of the military officials, a white-haired elder in armor stood out. Although he was in his twilight years, he still looked majestic. When the civil and military officials saw the two of them stand out, they began to weigh the pros and cons in their hearts. After all, the two of them were too powerful. It could be said that they were the first batch of people to follow the warlord to conquer the world. There were only 3 people left from that generation, and the two of them were two of them. Prime Minister Jean, General Hu. Hua Chong frowned and turned around. He looked at Prime Minister Jean and General Hu and smiled faintly. Humph! However, in the face of Hua Chong's greeting, the two of them were rather disdainful. They snorted coldly and turned their heads away. They did not even intend to acknowledge Hua Chong. How dare you? Do you have the right to speak here? Grandmaster Wen scolded sternly. You are the one who is impudent. When we followed the warlord to conquer the world, you were still in some rat hole. General Hu snorted disdainfully. Ha! General Hu? Why waste your breath on him? He is merely a traitor. One day, he will become a traitor. Prime Minister Wen smiled faintly. How dare you humiliate me in front of the court? Buzz, bang, whoosh, whoosh. Suddenly, Grandmaster Wen attacked Prime Minister Jean with his palm. However, before he could hit Prime Minister Jean, it was blocked by General Hu, who rushed over and waved his hand. In the end, Grandmaster Wen and General Hu both retreated a few steps. Do you really think that you are the second most powerful person in the Warlord Dynasty? If I am not old, I can kill a weak, chaotic martial ancestor like you with one hand. General Hu sneered disdainfully. Haha, he wants to attack me? He knows that I am a scholar and not a martial artist. Prime Minister Jean smiled faintly. Father, what is the punishment for Grandmaster Wen's action in the main hall of the palace? The third princess blinked when she saw this. She hurriedly looked at the warlord and asked in a delicate voice. This? The warlord frowned deeply when he heard this. He glanced at Huichong and moved his lips. He did not know how to reply. Of course, it is the death penalty. F***CKU Grandmaster Wen. You made Bin Xiao go to the Warlord Martial Arts Club for nothing. Let's see where you can run to now. Suddenly, an angry voice rang out in the main hall of the palace. Everyone was shocked. However, the third princess was overjoyed. Chapter 946. How dare you? Who is making a ruckus outside? Master Wen's eyes darkened as he shouted coldly. Buzz. However, when the light spots gathered around him, Master Wen's pupils constricted and his face turned pale. He could not help but take a few steps back. At the same time, many of the officials were stunned. Naturally, everyone knew that this was an ability that only a chaotic martial king could display. Damn you, Master Wen. Kneel down before Bin Xiao. As Wang Kai's figure appeared, he yelled. Master Wen's knees went soft, and he knelt on the ground. God, who is this young man? He reached the chaotic martial king realm at such a young age? Is he from the warlord dynasty? This is unbelievable. The civil and military officials all began to discuss in shock. Even the war king's eyes were sparkling, and his face was full of emotion. As for the third princess, she was smiling like a blooming flower. Everyone's approval of Wang Kai made her feel even more proud. Wang Kai. Master Wen gritted his teeth and growled with an ashen face. He wanted to get up, but found that he couldn't move at all. Under the pressure of a chaotic martial king, no matter how strong Master Wen was, he was only a chaotic martial grandmaster. Wang Kai, the one who defeated Zhan family head Zhan Qingxiao in one move? God, isn't it rumored that he is a chaotic martial grandmaster? He is actually a chaotic martial king? Everyone was indescribably shocked, especially the people from the Zhan clan who were standing in the Great Hall. Right now, their expressions were extremely ugly. Although they harbored hatred towards Wang Kai, they didn't dare to make a sound. The Zhan family head, Zhan Qingxiao, was still recuperating in bed. The strongest person from the Zhan family was only a first-grade chaotic martial grandmaster and was no match for him. Who would dare to make a sound? Brother, I wonder what enmity you have with Master Wen. Can you give me a, get out of my face? Who do you think you are? How dare you plead with Bin Xiao? Before Huichong could finish speaking, Wang Kai glared coldly at him and reprimanded him. Huichong's face immediately stiffened after being choked in such a manner. A murderous intent brewed in his eyes, and his hands under his sleeves involuntarily clenched into fists. Master Wen, you failed to kill Bin Xiao previously and even acted tough with Bin Xiao many times. Today, Bin Xiao will take your life. I hope you'll learn to be honest after you reincarnate. Wang. Crack. Suddenly, before the crowd's eyes, Grandmaster Wen's head was smashed to pieces by Wang Kai's palm. He died on the spot. The speed of his attack was so fast that even Huichong, who was standing nearby, was unable to see it clearly, let alone stop him in time. Well done. Such traitors deserve to die. General Hu clapped his hands and laughed. Although Prime Minister Jean did not say a word, his smile showed his thoughts. You're a first-grade, chaotic martial king, the crown prince of the Fire Dynasty? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and turned to look at Huichong. Swoosh! Seeing that Wang Kai had changed the topic to Huichong, the civil and military officials present held their breaths. Killing Master Wen was not the same as offending the crown prince of the Fire Dynasty. No, that's right, I am. You are 2F** king stupid. Slap. Plop. Huichong's words were once again interrupted by Wang Kai. Huichong's face was smashed by Wang Kai's slap. Huichong's body was sent flying, rolling on the ground for a dozen times before coming to a stop. Go back to your Fire Dynasty. The third princess, Ling Fei is Ben Xiao's woman. Your small fire kingdom is not fit to be here. Also, tell your father that he'd better cede his land to the War King dynasty as soon as possible. Otherwise, Ben Xiao will take his head in less than 10 days. Wang Kai snorted with disdain as he placed his hands behind his back. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. When Wang Kai heard the notification, he did not care. He was now a third-grade chaotic martial king. He needed to be at least a fourth-grade chaotic martial king before he could compete with the Fire Emperor. However, it was too easy for Wang Kai to reach the fourth-grade chaotic martial king level. Using the current situation, all he needed to do was to brag, and that would be it. Ahem, War King, is that what you mean? Hua Chong crawled up and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. Although he was furious, he was not stupid enough to attack Wang Kai directly. After all, Wang Kai was able to see through his cultivation level and defeat him with a wave of his hand. This proved that Wang Kai's cultivation level was far above his. Although he did not know where this chaotic martial king came from, Hua Chong did not dare to be presumptuous in front of Wang Kai. Answer him yes, and tell him that if the Fire Dynasty does not surrender, the War King Dynasty will destroy their land. Wang Kai placed his hands behind his back and secretly sent a message to Hua Chong. Whoosh! When he heard this voice transmission, the Zhan Wang frowned deeply. His eyes were filled with an indescribable feeling as he glanced at Wang Kai. Then, he turned to look at the third princess. Finally, he shook his head and replied with a voice transmission. This cannot be done. The eldest princess is still in the Fire King Empire. Don't worry. With Ben Xiao around, he can bring her back to the War King Dynasty anytime. We don't need to use a single soldier to destroy the Fire Dynasty. With Ben Xiao around, it will be enough. Wang Kai calmly replied. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the fourth-grade chaotic martial king level. No, I still can't believe. What a drag. Before Hua Chong could finish speaking, Wang Kai flipped his hand and slapped Hua Chong. Hua Chong was instantly sent flying into the distance as he vomited blood. Ben Xiao will only give you 10 days. After 10 days, you will die, Wang Kai calmly said. This situation caused Hua Chong to be dumbfounded. Now, that Hua Chong had been sent flying, even if he wanted to refuse, he no longer had the chance. As such, he was destined to be at odds with the Fire Dynasty. Now, that Wang Kai was a fourth-grade chaotic martial king. He did not fear War King at all. Even if War King was the third princess's father, if he was stubborn and could not differentiate between good and bad, Hua Chong would still teach him a lesson. Those who have just loudly agreed to Hua Chong and Fei Er's marriage, pay attention. Ben Xiao will be resting at Fei Er's overflowing fragrance garden later. I hope that you will prepare your gifts and take the initiative to apologize. Don't King make Ben Xiao personally look for you. After he spoke, Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and walked towards the third princess. He hugged the blushing third princess. Let's go. We will rest and wait for the gifts. Oh, the third princess lowered her head and softly replied. Then, under the panicked gazes of the civil and military officials, Wang Kai carried the third princess and disappeared from the palace. Even War King was stunned at this moment. He had never seen such a strange person who dared to rob in such a blatant manner. Furthermore, it was in the main hall of the palace. Chapter 9:47. Overflowing Fragrance Garden. Wang Kai and the third princess carried 2 long benches and sat in the courtyard, just like last night. Xiao and Spirit Snake accompanied them, pouring tea and serving desserts. The civil and military officials of the War Monarch dynasty hurried back home after the War Monarch announced the end of the court session. They spent a great deal of effort to prepare, then returned to the palace and headed straight for the overflowing fragrance garden. From first-grade officials to ninth-grade sesame seeds, regardless of their rank, they were all present to present lavish gifts. For example, gold, silver, jewels, heavenly treasures, and even more directly, chaotic steel. Wang Kai didn't pay any attention to this. He just sat there with his legs crossed and didn't even smile at the other party. In Wang Kai's words, not killing anyone was already a great kindness, and giving a gift could save them from death. This was already a great deal, and he still wanted to greet them with a polite face? Dream on. I never imagined that the officials of Monarch City, who preach poverty and not greed, would be so wealthy. Their combined wealth is enough to train and feed an army of 1,000,000 men. The third princess frowned. Her beautiful eyes were filled with disdain. Puffed! However, these words caused Wang Kai to be taken aback, and he directly spat out the tea that he had just swallowed. What? Feed an army of 1,000,000 men? Wang Kai asked in surprise. Not just feed an army. We can train an army of 1,000,000 men into elite soldiers. They can go into battle at any time, 1 against 100, the third princess said, rolling her eyes. Wang Kai was quite shocked when he heard this. He naturally understood what the third princess meant. It was nothing more than using heavenly materials and earthly treasures to strengthen the chaotic martial artists. However, how much food and water would be needed to feed an army of 1,000,000 men? How could she have the time to obtain such a large amount of heavenly treasures? Look at your silly face. Every heavenly treasure here can be exchanged for countless low-grade heavenly treasures. It's enough to train the soldiers, the third princess said, blinking her beautiful eyes. After all, how strong could the soldiers be? There is no need for high-level heavenly treasures at all. Can these things be used in the world of cultivation? Wang Kai frowned and asked expectantly. If he could use it in the cultivation world outside the king's territory, he would definitely be impressive. However, what the third princess said next made Wang Kai speechless. It is possible, but the effect is very small. All of it added up is not even comparable to a piece of chaotic true crystal in the world of cultivation. If it were given to an ordinary person or a poor person, it would be enough to feed them for the rest of their lives. They would never be able to spend it all. The third princess smiled faintly. Primal, chaos, true, crystal. In the world of cultivation, was it the currency used by the almighty cultivators and those above? Wang Kai shrugged helplessly. Since it didn't have much use, he would just treat it as a joke. He waved his hand and said, "These broken things are for you. These were mine to begin with. I want to give them to my father and donate them to the War King's royal family's treasury. When the time comes, we'll be able to train elite soldiers and stabilize the War King dynasty's position." The third princess smiled. Hearing this, the corners of Wang Kai's mouth twitched slightly. Faced with the third princess's arrogance, he simply didn't care. Those things were useless to him in the first place. After all, Wang Kai knew very well that he was going to the world of cultivation and not the king's territory. He would also have to go to the world of cultivation to figure out the method to return to the heavenly domain. After all, Taoist Hongchun was in the Great Sage realm. Before reaching that level, he wouldn't be able to go back even if he used the system. These bastards have quite a lot of money. Suddenly, as a sneer sounded, the War King strode in from the door and looked at the treasures that had already piled up into a mountain in the courtyard with an icy, cold expression. "Father!" Seeing this, the third princess hurriedly got up and bowed. Lord War King. Xiaoer also bowed in horror. Even Spirit Snake went forward to bow respectfully. On the other hand, Wang Kai was still sitting there with his legs crossed and sipping tea. He didn't have the intention to bother with them at all. Previously, in the main hall of the royal palace, the warlord didn't even dare to speak tough words. Wang Kai had already taken note of this matter. He didn't beat him up only because he was the third princess's father. According to Wang Kai, being a battle king was too cowardly. He didn't even have the slightest bit of courage. He was not as good as Wang Shang of the Divine Martial Empire in Fanzhou. At the very least, he still dared to plot against the marshal's residence and successfully kidnapped him. Wang Kai. Seeing this, the third princess couldn't help but reach out and tug at Wang Kai. In response, Wang Kai was rather helpless. He casually raised his hand and cupped his fists as a form of greeting. It's okay. My son-in-law is extremely talented and brave. It's only right that he is a little arrogant, the War King said with a smile with his hands behind his back. Son-in-law. However, these words caused Wang Kai to frown. In addition to the flattery that followed, Wang Kai began to see the War King in a new light. You don't have much guts, but you're quite good at flattery. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled playfully. As soon as he said this, the atmosphere instantly became awkward. Both the War King and the third princess had awkward expressions. Indeed, the War King was a little cowardly in the main hall of the palace. Even the third princess couldn't bear to watch. Fair, you may leave first. The War King smiled awkwardly and waved his hand. In response, the third princess glanced at Wang Kai and blinked her beautiful eyes. Only then did she leave with Xiao, and Spirit Snake. Speak. Why did you purposely chase Fei away to look for Ben Xiao? Wang Kai shrugged and asked calmly. I see that you're a third-grade chaotic martial king. You're indeed impressive to be able to reach such a level at your age. You could be ranked first in the king's territory. However, I'm not sure where you get your confidence from to declare war on the Fire Dynasty. Could it be that you have other helpers? The Battle King narrowed his eyes and asked with an expression filled with anticipation. At this point, they had already angered the Fire Dynasty. If they didn't think of a way to resolve this matter, the War King dynasty would definitely be embarrassed. Who told you that Ben Xiao is a third-grade chaotic martial king? Moreover, Ben Xiao can drown the entire Fire Dynasty with a spit. Why would he need helpers? Wang Kai frowned and said disdainfully. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. You may not know, but the Fire King has already broken through to the 8th grade chaotic martial king realm. He also has the shockingly talented crown Prince Hua Chong beside him. Although he is only a first-grade chaotic martial king, if the two countries go to war, it will be extremely disadvantageous for the War King dynasty. The War King said with a frown. Chapter 948. Wang Kai squinted his eyes when he heard the system notification and what Zhan Wang had said. No wonder the system had determined that he would not be able to destroy the Fire Empire. It turned out that the Fire Emperor was a rank 8 chaotic martial king. This meant that if Su Mo wanted to defeat him, he would have to be at least a rank 5 chaotic martial king. As for the crown prince, Hua Chong, Wang Kai did not care about him at all. If Su Mo wanted to go to war with the Fire Empire, he would not need to send an army to suppress them. If he went alone, he would be able to destroy an entire dynasty. This was the ability of an expert. You are so cowardly. You tolerate the Fire Empire because you are afraid of the Fire Emperor, who has broken through another rank. Wang Kai frowned and could not help but grin. In response, the warlord smiled bitterly and nodded. He sighed, "We should have been at the same level, but I don't know what method he used to break through before me. He also has the monstrous Hua Chong and 2 chaotic martial kings. It's really difficult to deal with them. That can't be right." Ben Xiao remembers that there is another chaotic martial king in Monarch City. Although his rank is not as high as yours, he is much more powerful than the crown prince. Wang Kai squinted his eyes and smiled playfully. When Su Mo had left Zhan Wang Martial Arts Club, he had used his spiritual consciousness to cover the entire Monarch City. Other than discovering the aura in the palace, he had also discovered a chaotic martial king in Zhan Wang Martial Arts Club. Although Su Mo did not know who the chaotic martial king was, he was sure that the chaotic martial king was a rank 3 chaotic martial king. Moreover, the chaotic martial king had been following Su Mo. However, Su Mo did not know why the chaotic martial king had not appeared. Are you talking about the club master of Zhan Wang Martial Arts Club? Haha, he's my sworn brother. Like Prime Minister Jin and General Hu, he is one of the earliest brothers to follow me to conquer the world. Now, only the 3 of them are still alive. Zhan Wang shook his head and sighed. All right, Ben Xiao does not want to care about your past. Since you know the chaotic martial king, Why don't you let him help you? With him around, Crown Prince Huachong is nothing. Wang Kai curled his lips and said disdainfully. In response, the War King bitterly smiled and said, he is yet to fully recover from his injuries. Even though he is a primal chaos martial king, he is unable to fight against the enemy. If he forcefully fights against the enemy, he will be in danger of dying at any time. This king has always tolerated the Fire King dynasty because I have no other choice. Hearing this, the corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitched slightly. After all this time, it turned out that he was just a chaos martial king who was good-looking but useless. Whatever, let's not talk about this for now. Can you tell me if there are any other helpers? The War King frowned and asked in a low voice. Helper? If he had a helper, he would have killed Grandmaster Wen long ago. Why would he be killed in the end? Wang Kai shrugged, speechless. He said bluntly, no, just Ben Shao. No? Then, this prince can only apologize. Swoosh. Suddenly, the War King's expression changed. Frost covered his face, and the murderous intent in his eyes was not concealed at all. OF*CK? Don't tell me you want to give Ben Shao's head to the Fire King dynasty as an apology? To appease the Fire King's anger? Wang Kai frowned, touched his chin, and asked in surprise. He secretly thought that he had underestimated the War King. After all this time, the War King was not here to get close to him, but to kill him. That's right. You are very smart and powerful. You are not inferior to that demon Huachong at all. However, for the safety of the War King dynasty, I can only kill you personally. It's a pity that I have wasted such a talented young man. The War King shook his head slightly and sighed regretfully. It was not hard to tell from his expression that he really felt regretful. After all, Wang Kai had such achievements at such a young age. It was indeed rare in the king's territory. Remember, when you're in front of Ben Shao, stand up and speak. Make Ben Shao tired of looking at you. Sit on the ground. Void hand. Buzz. Bang. As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Kai raised his hand and slashed across the air. This action shocked the War King. He flipped his hand to block it. However, in the face of an untraceable martial skill, even the War King, a 7th-grade chaotic realm expert, could not block it. He was directly slammed onto the ground, causing cracks to appear on the ground. His buttocks could be said to be firmly seated on the ground. The pain coming from his buttocks caused the warlord's face to contort. What he felt was not pain, but a deep sense of humiliation. A battle emperor had been beaten to the ground by a mere junior. Looks like you're not a 3rd-grade chaotic martial king. No, it's not as simple as a 4th-grade chaotic martial king. The War King frowned and said in a deep voice, Buzz. When Wang Kai heard this, he curled his lips in disdain. He flipped his hand and took out the Chaos Heaven-swallowing halberd. He stabbed it into the ground beside him and looked indifferently at the War King. He laughed coldly and said, Do you know the consequences of acting tough with Ben Shao? Feia. The War King did not even respond. Instead, he hurriedly shouted. Wang Kai was dumbfounded by this. He had never imagined that the mighty war monarch of a dynasty would ask his daughter to save his life. Father. Wang Kai. The 3rd princess rushed over after hearing the commotion. What she saw was the warlord sitting on the ground with cracks all over his body. Coupled with the War King's twisted and hideous expression, the 3rd princess was stunned. How long had it been? A conflict had actually occurred? Feia, your father wants to take my head and send it to the Fire King Empire. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and said with an amused expression, Swoosh. Hearing this, the 3rd princess's pretty face froze. Her beautiful eyes widened and were filled with disbelief. She never thought that her father would have such thoughts. Feia, for the safety of the War King Empire, for your safety, for the safety of your elder sister, and for the safety of all living beings, this is the only choice I have. The War King's face darkened as he said in a heavy voice, Father. The 3rd princess tightly gritted her teeth as her beautiful eyes flickered. For a moment, she did not know what to say. That's enough. Ben Shao will not kill you, nor will he destroy the War King Empire. You can get up and leave on your own. However, You must remember that you can only kill Ben Shao once. This time, Ben Shao will not be calculated with you on account of fate. Wang Kai waved his hand and said impatiently. Swoosh! The War King's expression turned even uglier. He was the War King, but the Fire King had surpassed him by one step. Now, he was being taught a lesson by a junior. Old man, come and take his life. I'm sorry. Buzz. Suddenly, an elderly voice rang out. A white-haired elder appeared in the sky with a long sword in his hand. He descended from the sky and slashed at Wang Kai. This person was the owner of the War King Martial Club. Chapter 949. F***CKME, you old fart, you got guts. Scram. Wang Kai frowned when he saw this. He raised his hand and swatted upwards. Ignorant brat. Swoosh. Crack. However, just as Wang Kai was about to attack with his palm, the old man threw the long sword in his hand down. Although the long sword was shattered by the palm strike, it did not injure the old man. Buzz. Wang Kai was a little taken aback when he saw this. It was very strange. The master of the Battle King Dojo had said that he wanted to kill Wang Kai, but he had thrown his sword away halfway. Hurry up and take Fei away from here. The old man roared, and his body began to swell. Wang Kai finally understood what was going on. After all this time, the old man had said that he wanted to kill Wang Kai to self-destruct and perish together with Wang Kai. Using the sword to attack was just a pretense. The old man wanted to distract Wang Kai so that he would not be defeated in one move. After all, if even the Battle King was no match for Wang Kai, who in the Battle King Empire would be a match for him? If the old man wanted to self-destruct, he had to use the sword as a pretense to attack. No, stop it, father. The third princess naturally understood what was going on. She immediately shouted in shock and anger. However, no matter how much she struggled and resisted, she was still unable to resist the Battle King's capture. In a flash, the Battle King had brought her out of the overflowing fragrance garden. The old man is seriously injured. Once he attacks, he will die instantly. If he could kill you with his strength, it would not matter even if his injuries were aggravated. Unfortunately, the old man knows that he is no match for you, and he cannot die in vain. Therefore, he can only let the overflowing fragrance garden and the entire palace accompany us in death. The old man threw his head back and laughed loudly. His body had already swelled to the size of a giant rubber ball. Streams of terrifying primal chaos force swept out in a flash. Fuck, Ben Shao ignored you and you're still so smug? There are too many people who want to self-destruct to kill Ben Shao, but no one has ever succeeded. Do you know why? The answer is very simple. Ben Shao is awesome. Gate of time. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 5th stage of the chaotic Martial King realm. Wong. Suddenly, as the system notification sounded, a huge silver-white door appeared. A huge white arm instantly extended from within it. With a clench, it grabbed the ball-like old man and pulled him into the door. Bang! Plop! When the door closed and disappeared, the old man returned to his normal physical state. He sat on the ground in a daze. For a moment, he was stunned. He should have self-detonated, but why wasn't he dead yet? Where the hell are you from? Daring to self-destruct and perish together with Ben Shao. Are you worthy? Do you have the ability to do that? Pa! Bang! Crack! Wang Kai quickly walked in front of the old man. He lifted his leg and swept it across the old man's face. Instantly, the old man's body tilted and he was violently knocked into the ground. That's enough. Look at you. You can't even speak. Go and reincarnate. Don't. Please stay. Just as Wang Kai was about to take the old man's life, Zhan Wang, who was high up in the sky, shouted anxiously. However, Wang Kai completely ignored this. He did not even hesitate. With a flip of his hand, the primal chaos heaven-swallowing halberd appeared in his hand. Then, he directly pierced the old man's chest and firmly pinned him to the ground. Congratulations to the host for successfully killing a 6-stage chaotic martial king expert. You have received 1,000 experience points. 6-stage chaotic martial king? When he heard the notification, Wang Kai raised his eyebrows slightly. He could not help but stroke his chin and laugh. If that's the case, I have to thank you. Not only did you send yourself to death, but you also gave me 1,000 experience points. Wang Kai was very surprised at the old man's cultivation level. He looked like a 3rd-stage chaotic martial king. However, when he fought, he was actually a 6th-stage chaotic martial king. If he was not severely injured and could fight as he pleased, the War King dynasty would not have been suppressed by the Fire King dynasty. However, it was a pity that it was possible. How could you really kill him? He was just muddle-headed for a moment. Zhan Wang's face was ashen as he shouted coldly. F***CKU, muddle-headed for a moment. If Bin Xiao did not have any ability, he would have been dead. At that time, would you still say that you were muddle-headed for a moment? You would definitely say that Bin Xiao deserved to die, right? Wang Kai raised his head and looked at Zhan Wang. He could not help but curse. If Zhan Wang was not the 3rd princess's father, he would have chopped Zhan Wang into pieces. For someone like the Battle King to be able to survive under Wang Kai's nose, it was a great fortune. How dare you insult me? Zhan Wang was stunned. He had never imagined that Wang Kai would actually insult him. No matter what, if Wang Kai married the 3rd princess, he would have to address Zhan Wang as father-in-law. Insult you? Haha. You better King remember this. If you dare to act tough again, even if you go against Bin Xiao's wishes in the slightest, he will crush your head and feed it to the dogs. Wang Kai's face was cold as he sneered with disdain. Since you want to King kill me, who cares if you're the 3rd princess's father? Whoosh. When Zhan Wang heard this, he was instantly dumbfounded. Only now did he realize that Wang Kai was a lawless madman. Anyone who offended him, no matter who it was, would not have a good ending. Feya. Look at what a good husband you found. Zhan Wang waved his sleeve and reprimanded with a dark expression. Father, I beg you, don't offend him anymore. If he gets angry and wants to kill you, I'm afraid that I won't be able to stop him. The 3rd princess floated between the two of them. Her beautiful eyes were red and tears welled up as she pleaded. Zhan Wang was stunned. He was momentarily speechless. Wang Kai, he's my father. You should leave. Leave the Zhan Wang dynasty. We have nothing to do with each other. Then, the 3rd princess turned around and looked at Wang Kai. She gritted her teeth and ordered him to leave. When she finished speaking, she could no longer hold back her tears. At this, Wang Kai frowned slightly. He could only silently sigh at how his temper had always been like this. He had never considered the 3rd princess's feelings. However, even if he had the chance to do it all over again, Wang Kai would not change his method. To those who wanted his life, he would not let a single one go, no matter what the reason was. Goodbye. Wang Kai stared at the 3rd princess for a long while. Then he cupped his fists and smiled. His body stepped into the air, turned into a speck of light, and disappeared. Now that things have come to this, there was no need to linger. In the end, he was just a passerby. Chapter 950. How can you let him leave? The Fire King dynasty will not let this matter rest. Without his help, the War King dynasty is destined to be destroyed. The War King's expression tensed up when he saw this, and his face was filled with sorrow. Whoosh! When the 3rd princess heard this, her beautiful eyes narrowed. She raised her hand and wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes. She sneered. Do you want me to watch him kill you? If you didn't want to take his life, why would there be so much trouble? With that, the 3rd princess turned around and walked into the overflowing fragrance garden under the War King's stunned gaze. She closed the door tightly and did not say another word. At the same time, Wang Kai, who had passed through the War King dynasty's territory, arrived at the Fire King dynasty's territory. He did not stop walking and arrived at the Fire King dynasty's royal city. He stepped into the air and looked down at the palace below him. He smiled faintly and said, Consider this a token of my thanks for our friendship. Buzz. Crackle. Wang Kai-gao raised his arm, and streaks of lightning condensed in his palm. Dark clouds appeared high up in the sky, as if they had sensed something. Thunder and lightning rolled from within the clouds. The entire Fire King dynasty's royal city was plunged into darkness and panic. What's going on? What happened? Why did the sky turn dark? The Fire King dynasty has never reigned. What's going on today? Damn it. What's going on? On the streets of the royal city, countless people raised their heads to look at the thunderclouds in the sky. In an instant, cries of alarm rang out, and chaos ensued. Who? Who was that person? The Fire King, Wang Shang, who was in the palace, immediately saw the figure in the sky. His fiery red hair was burning fiercely as he stared at Wang Kai with fiery eyes. It's him. Damn it. Father, this is the person who threw me out of the War King's royal family. He's also the one who said that the third princess is his woman. The gloomy crown prince, Huicheng, pointed at Wang Kai and scolded sternly. It's him? Bastard. Not only have you offended the Fire King's dynasty, you even dare to behave so atrociously in my territory? The Fire King roared in anger. Hearing this, Wang Kai raised his eyebrows slightly. He slowly lowered his head and smiled at them. Then, he turned his palm and pressed down from the sky. Wang, rumble, rumble. In an instant, the thunderclouds and the dark clouds turned into thigh-thick lightning pillars. They were concentrated and bombarded down in a large area. In the blink of an eye, the entire royal city was reduced to ashes. All the buildings were destroyed, and all the living beings were wiped out. No one was left alive. From then on, not even a chaotic martial ancestor realm expert would exist in the Fire King Empire. If the Warlord dynasty attacked at this moment, they would definitely be able to easily occupy the entire king's territory. Ho-ho! Bin Xiao did not save the eldest princess first and allowed her to be buried with the Fire King Empire. You owe Bin Xiao a life. Wang Kai placed his hands behind his back and looked at the ruins coldly. Fire King, come out. Bin Xiao knows that you're not dead. Crack. Cough, cough. After Wang Kai's voice sounded, the Flame King crawled out from the ruins where the lightning glow was still present. His hair was disheveled, and his body was charred black. Who are you? The Fire King's face was black, and his eyes were cold. He had wanted to use this opportunity to escape, but he had not expected to be discovered by Wang Kai. The Fire King was a rank 8 chaotic martial king. If he was killed, the system would naturally give him a reward. Since the system did not give him a reward, it was obvious what it meant. Bin Xiao's name is Wang Kai, and he is from the Dafan dynasty. He is 27 years old and a rank 5 chaotic martial king. He is handsome, and he is the richest man in the universe. He has many wives and concubines, and his strength is great. After you die, you can go to the King of Hell and tell him that you are Bin Xiao. He might be able to get you an official position. Wang Kai squinted his eyes and smiled. He then flipped his palm and struck down. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. Wang, bang. The Fire King died on the spot, and he did not have any strength to fight back. Although Wang Kai's combat strength was comparable to the Fire King's, the Fire King had been severely injured by the lightning, and his aura was weak. He was naturally no match for Wang Kai. Congratulations to the host for successfully killing a rank 8 chaotic martial king. You have received 3,000 experience points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through and reaching rank 6 chaotic martial king. Whoosh! Wang Kai flipped his palm and uprooted the ground. Under the attack of the chaotic energy, the thick ground turned into a black square city wall. Bang, 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 bang. Then, Wang Kai held the chaotic sky, swallowing halberd, and carved rows of words on the city wall. Fire King Dynasty's territory is dedicated to the third princess, Ling Fei-er. May her youth last forever. The eldest princess of the War King Dynasty has been buried with the Fire King Dynasty. This is the debt that the War King owes to Bin Xiao. The Zhan family's patriarch, Zhang Qingxiao, and his 2 sons were killed by Ben Xiao by mistake. The War King will confer him the title of Marquis. Wang Kai. The 3 rows of words were neatly written. At the bottom, at the signature, were the words Wang Kai. When the thick and heavy city wall was erected on the ruins of the palace, Wang Kai's figure had long since disappeared. 3 days later, the news of the Fire King dynasty's royal family, as well as the generals, marshals, and families in the imperial city, all perished spread throughout the king's territory. Naturally, the words on the thick city wall were also widely circulated. The War King didn't feel sad because of the eldest princess' death. Instead, he was excited because he had taken over the Fire King dynasty's territory and dominated the entire king's territory. In fact, he even sculpted Wang Kai's appearance into a statue and erected it in the imperial palace, conferring him the title of founding general. The War King's actions caused a 3rd princess to become extremely haggard. She had been locking herself in the overflowing fragrance garden. Apart from Qiao, and Ling Shi, she didn't want to see anyone else. However, Wang Kai was unaware of all this. At this moment, Wang Kai had already left the king's territory and arrived at the cultivation world. After asking around, he found out that the domain he was in was called Xianling Domain. Xianling Domain, Xianling School. A supreme treasure has appeared. In a tea house, Wang Kai sat with his legs crossed. After hearing the waiter's words, he couldn't help but put down his tea with a playful expression. That's right. I heard that this supreme treasure can allow the sect master of Xianling School to advance to the sage realm. It's really powerful. The waiter praised while pouring tea for Wang Kai. Sage realm. It was a breakthrough. Hearing this, Wang Kai raised his brows slightly and became increasingly curious. If there was really such a supreme treasure, he could snatch it and play with it. What realm is the sect master of Xianling School in? Sir, the sect master of Xianling School is in the sage realm. Chapter 9:51. Wang Kai was certain that it was the first time he had met someone who hid their true cultivation level ever since he came to the chaotic realm. Even in the Qingyun starry sky, there was no one who was so sinister and careful. At the same time, Wang Kai had no choice but to be cautious. The cultivators in the chaotic realm were each more cunning than the other. Wang Kai was so careless because he was in the Xianling domain, which was the closest domain to the king's territory. No matter how many powerhouses there were, they wouldn't be too powerful. However, to his surprise, even though there weren't many powerful ones, they were all very shrewd. Well, young man, you're not bad. You know that Ben Xiao is very impressive, and you're afraid that your 2 followers will be smacked to death by Ben Xiao. So you took the initiative to apologize. Come over, the tolerant Ben Xiao is willing to be friends with you, Wang Kai said with a smile and squinted his eyes. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've gained 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. Uffed. As soon as Wang Kai finished speaking, all the customers in the tea house couldn't help but spit out the tea in their mouths. They all stared at Wang Kai in disbelief. Even the waiter beside Wang Kai was stunned and a little dumbfounded. He didn't expect Wang Kai to be so thick-skinned. Anyone could tell that the young man stood up to apologize and revealed the realm of his followers because he was concerned about Wang Kai's safety. But Wang Kai, on the other hand, not only did he not thank them, he even acted like a big shot. He was even more unruly when it came to bragging. Damn, this kid's bragging skills are really unfathomable. I almost don't want to kill him. Ahem, it's indeed earth-shattering. It's unprecedented and will never be repeated. The 2 followers of the handsome young man were also shocked. They looked at each other and still couldn't get over the shock. On the other hand, the handsome young man's expression was normal, as if he had expected this to happen. However, fortunately, his 2 followers weren't angry. The handsome young man secretly heaved a sigh of relief and nodded at Wang Kai with a smile before sitting down. He didn't accept Wang Kai's invitation to sit at the same table. However, such a silent rejection caused Wang Kai's eyes to widen. He immediately stood up and stepped on the chair. He sneered, "What's wrong? How dare you reject Ben Shao's invitation? Do you know that if you offended Ben Shao, he could make the entire Xianling domain would disappear with a wave of his hand? Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. Damn it. How can there be such a shameless person? Is he courting death? Life is precious, yet you insist on seeking death. I can't bear to look at him." In an instant, everyone in the tea house was disgusted by Wang Kai's shamelessness. They all covered their faces in shame for Wang Kai. "Kid, do you really want to die?" Whoosh! Sure enough, the expressions of the two followers abruptly turned cold as they stood up. Their eyes were filled with dense, killing intent. It was undeniable that if Wang Kai dared to nod or refute, the two of them would definitely kill him without hesitation. However, there were too few people who could make Wang Kai lower his head and stop bragging. It was so rare that there was no one. Damn it, where did these two idiots come from? They even asked Ben Shao if he wants to die. Do you two idiots know that Ben Shao has long wanted to die, but he couldn't? I vaguely remember that when I was 3 years old, I jumped off a cliff. When I was 10, I slept with the queen of our dynasty. When I was 13, I even asked the sky with a cup of wine. I pointed at the sky and took off my belt. Who dares to compete with me? Unfortunately, I can't die. Sad, sad. At the end of his speech, Wang Kai shook his head and sighed again and again. He even treated the tea as wine and drank it all in one gulp. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 8th grade chaotic martial king realm. This kid, is he a storyteller? He can't be a storyteller, so he changed to bragging? Everyone was stunned on the spot, and all of them had extremely astonished expressions. They were already shocked by Wang Kai's various words, and they were also shocked. The two followers who wanted to kill Wang Kai were also stunned. For a moment, they felt a little embarrassed. Indeed, Wang Kai's bragging could simply break the heavens. Ha ha! Ha ha! Suddenly, the handsome young master covered his face and laughed out loud. His body was trembling, and his laughter was extremely pleasant to the ears. Young master, your voice. The two followers came back to their senses and quickly reminded him. At the same time, they looked around cautiously. Seeing that no one had noticed, they heaved a sigh of relief. Luckily, everyone was stunned by the king's bragging. Otherwise, cough, 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 I've caught a cold recently and my throat is a little uncomfortable. The handsome young man immediately stopped laughing. His eyes were filled with panic as he scanned his surroundings. He was secretly breaking out in cold sweat. At the same time, he glared at Wang Kai. He had already put all the blame on Wang Kai for the fact that he had almost been exposed. She is indeed a girl. Moreover, she's an extremely beautiful girl. Wang Kai's pupils shrank slightly as he stared at the handsome young man with a strange smile on his face. He couldn't help but touch his chin and say with a smile, "Young master, how about we be friends?" Don't worry, to be Ben Shao's friend is a blessing that you can't even dream of. From now on, you will be accompanied by great luck. You will be able to pick up money by lowering your head. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. Bastard, if you don't shut up, I will kill you right now. You are really lucky. After bragging for so long, you are still alive. You should cherish your life even more. The faces of the two followers were cold and indifferent as they coldly snorted and reprimanded. Then, they softly whispered a few words to the handsome young man. Soon, the handsome young man stood up and nodded at Wang Kai as a greeting. Then, he quickly left with the two followers. Interesting. Looks like this girl is not simple. She came out to drink tea and acted like a thief. Hee hee. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and laughed in a playful manner. He turned around and took out a few pieces of primal chaos steel, after which he randomly threw them on the table and hurriedly followed behind. Is this chaotic stainless steel? The waiter was stunned when he saw this, and immediately reacted. He wanted to call out to Wang Kai, but he was nowhere to be seen. Although chaotic stainless steel was useful in the world of cultivation, it was worthless in some big places. Chapter 952. Stop. You brat. You don't know what's good for you. You were lucky enough to survive, and now you dare to follow us? What are you trying to do? The follower, surnamed Lu, suddenly turned around. With a tap of his foot, he arrived in front of Wang Kai and stared at him with a cold gaze. I think this brat is most likely from the Xianling school. Following us is definitely not a good thing. The other follower frowned and said coldly, Someone from the Xianling school? As soon as he said this, the handsome young man's eyes flickered. He stared at Wang Kai and asked softly, Young master, why are you following us? Who's following you? Bin Xiao walks his path, and you go yours. To be able to meet here is just a coincidence. Furthermore, Bin Xiao feels that you admire Bin Xiao too much and intentionally walked in front of Bin Xiao. Right? Am I right? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled casually. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience and 20 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 9th grade of Chaotic Martial King. Host, Wang Kai Occupation, Chaotic Martial Artist Realm. Chaotic Martial King, 9th grade, Cultivation Technique. Daluo Diamond Body Martial Technique. Void Hand Equipment. Primal Chaos Heaven, Swallowing Halberd Bragging Points. 320 Experience. 06000. When he heard the notification and saw the system page that appeared in his mind, Wang Kai indifferently activated his mind and closed it. I think you're courting death, brat. Stop. There's no need to kill someone who has nothing to do with this. Just as the follower, surnamed Lu, raised his hand and was about to kill Wang Kai, the handsome young man furrowed his brows and shouted to stop him. You still want to kill your grandfather? I'm not afraid to tell you that Bin Xiao is indeed someone from the Xianling school. Furthermore, he is a very important person. For example, they still have to rely on Bin Xiao to lead the way for the treasure. If you dare to hurt Bin Xiao, the experts from the Xianling school will immediately come and destroy you. I'll destroy you. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and spouted nonsense. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience and 20 bragging points. Treasure. Whoosh. When these words were spoken, it was as though a fuse had been lit. It immediately caused the handsome young man and his 2 followers to turn solemn. Their gazes were filled with murderous intent as they looked over. F***CK. Seeing this scene, Wang Kai couldn't help but rub his nose and curse inwardly. He hadn't expected that these people would be related to the treasure. Moreover, they seemed to be at odds with the Xianling school. Previously, the 2 followers had been hostile to him. At least their leader had stopped them. In the end, they hadn't done anything to him. But now, the handsome young man looked deeply at Wang Kai and said indifferently, It's better to believe it than not. Take him away and interrogate him. Yes. Hee. Leave the interrogation to me. After the handsome young master gave the order, the follower with the surname Lu and the other follower with the surname Lu both reached out and grabbed Wang Kai's arm. Brat, follow us to the foot of the Xianling school's mountain gate. You will enjoy the journey. Hee. As soon as the follower surnamed Lu finished speaking, he and the other follower surnamed Lu looked at each other and nodded. Then, they both stepped into the air and followed closely behind the handsome young man. As for Wang Kai, he was held in the middle by the 2 of them. In this regard, Wang Kai felt extremely helpless. He couldn't help but say, What do you want to ask? Hurry up and ask. Bin Xiao is a know-it-all. No matter if it's the past or the present, or the future, or even the location of the ancient ruins, he can calculate everything. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience and 20 bragging points. Good, then tell us. Whose weapon is the sun shooting bow? What shocking deeds did it have? The follower, surnamed Lu, asked with a cold smile. If you answer incorrectly and dare to lie, hee. The follower surnamed Lu laughed coldly. Sun Shooting Bow. Hearing this name, Wang Kai's eyebrows suddenly twisted. If there really were gods in the chaotic realm of cultivation, then could the sun shooting bow be the one used by Ho-E? Thinking up to this point, Wang Kai couldn't be sure. However, he had to treat this as a last resort. Even if it wasn't the sun shooting bow used by Ho-E, he could still use this matter to deceive them. Thinking up to this point, Wang Kai pursed his lips and said with an indifferent expression, the full name of the sun shooting bow should be Ho-Yi's sun shooting bow. As the name implies, it naturally belongs to Ho-E. As for the deeds, he was ordered by the Emperor of Heaven to help Emperor Yao shoot down the 9 suns. Oh, that was taught by Ben Xiao. Otherwise, he wouldn't have the ability to shoot down the 9 suns. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience and 20 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the first rank of the Almighty Realm. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the Almighty Realm. The system will activate the God Protection function. Congratulations to the host for successfully activating the God Protection function. It is temporarily ranked at level 1. Host, through the God Protection function, you can obtain the power of gods. As long as you say the name of the god, know its magical power, ability, and weapon, you can use it to enhance yourself. Host, the power of God is divided into 7 levels. According to the corresponding level, you can use the power of gods of the corresponding level. If you want to enhance the God protection of a higher level, you will need to spend bragging points. Host, Wang Kai Occupation, Chaotic Warrior Realm, Almighty Realm, Rank 1 Cultivation Technique, Daluo Diamond Body Martial Arts Technique, Hand of Void Equipment, Chaos Sky Swallowing Halberd the Power of God, Level 1 Bragging Points, 380 Experience, 06000. As a series of system notifications and reminders rang, Wang Kai's mind seemed to have exploded. He didn't even see or hear the shocked faces of the handsome young man and the other 2, nor did he hear their exclamations. The power of God. As long as I say the name, weapon, magical power, ability of certain mythological figure, I can obtain his ability? If that's the case, won't Ben Xiao be able to obtain the power of Pangu, the great sage at will? Or even the ability of Nuwa to create humans? Or the magical power of Gonggong, the god of rain, Zhurong, the god of fire? Wang Kai frowned and thought to himself in surprise. Host, with the bragging points you have now, it's not enough to obtain the abilities of Pangu, Nuwa, Gonggong, Zhurong, and the other 4 mythological gods. As soon as Wang Kai thought about it, the system responded directly and decisively. However, such a notification made Wang Kai's eyes light up. Although he couldn't obtain it now, it didn't mean that he couldn't in the future. As long as he had enough bragging points, wouldn't it be fine? When he obtained the abilities of Pangu, the great sage, he would be able to split the heavens and earth with his axe. By then, who would he be afraid of? Bastard, my master is asking you a question and you're pretending to be dumb? Do you want to die? Chapter 953. Hearing the shouts, Wang Kai was startled. When he came back to his senses, he curled his lips in displeasure and snorted. Why are you making so much noise? Ben Xiao heard your young master's question, but he didn't answer. He's just thinking. You need to know that those who are truly capable are always very accurate with their words, but they will never speak nonsense. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 2,000 experience and 20 bragging points. You're still acting tough. Lu's followers sneered disdainfully. If the handsome young man hadn't stopped them, Wang Kai would have been crushed to death by the 2 followers. Who are you? How do you know about Ho-E? The handsome young man frowned and asked in a deep voice. Hearing this, Wang Kai was stunned. Although he had guessed correctly, Ho-E was still an awesome figure from the mythological era. He could even shoot down the sun, so there was no reason for him to not be famous in the chaotic realm. Even the people in the king's territory knew of Pangu and Nuwa. Although they were much stronger and more famous than Ho-E, It wasn't enough to make Ho Yi's name disappear. I thought they were testing Ben Xiao, so I asked a question that everyone knew. Now, it seems that's not the case. Wang Kai frowned and thought to himself. Kid, the young master is asking you a question. Lu's follower roared and even wanted to step forward and pull Wang Kai's ear. Wang Kai was really too rude. He had asked so many questions, but he had ignored them. Of course Ben Xiao knows, because Ben Xiao is Ho Yi's master. All his abilities were taught by Ben Xiao himself. Unfortunately, he was harmed by his disciple Feng Ming and took in a disciple by mistake, causing Ben Xiao to lose a good disciple. Wang Kai shook his head and sighed. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 2,000 experience and 20 bragging points. You even know this? Who are you? Hurry up and tell me. Otherwise, I'll kill you. The handsome young man's eyes turned cold as he shouted fiercely. Faced with this, the two attendants also had serious expressions on their faces. There were too few people in the chaotic realm who knew Ho Yi's name. There were less than 5 people who knew him. However, Wang Kai explained everything in such detail. He even knew how Ho Yi died. It was extremely strange. Hearing this, the corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitched slightly. There were all kinds of strange explanations as to how Ho Yi died. Just now, he had only said a relatively good way to die. In other words, Ho Yi was killed by his subordinates who colluded with his concubine. In the end, he was cooked and his flesh was eaten by his son. That kind of death was extremely cowardly. Wang Kai really didn't want to use that to bluff his way out. Ben Xiao knows too much. Take Chang Yi for example. If Ben Xiao hadn't given her a divine elixir, would she have been able to return to the Moon Palace? F*CK. I'm afraid she would have been caught by Ho Yi's enemies. Cough, cough. Wang Kai shrugged and said with a disdainful expression, Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 2,000 experience and 20 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the second stage of the Almighty Realm. If it weren't for the handsome young man's expression at the end, Wang Kai would have said that if he hadn't given her the divine elixir, Chang, he would have been caught and F***ed. Fortunately, he didn't say it. Otherwise, the outcome would be worrying. However, at this moment, the handsome young man frowned and stared at Wang Kai. His heart was filled with a myriad of thoughts. It sounded like nonsense, but there were some things that hit the nail on the head. Although there were many places where he was bragging, there was nothing wrong with the essence of the matter. This made it difficult for the handsome young man to make up his mind. He didn't know how to deal with Wang Kai. Since you claim to be able to predict the heavens and the earth, then do some calculations. Where's the sun shooting bow now? Do you have a way to get it back? The handsome young man asked in a deep voice. His eyes involuntarily carried a trace of anticipation. In this regard, Wang Kai was quite curious. He thought to himself, these people care so much about the sun shooting bow and Ho Yi. Could it be that they are Ho Yi's descendants? Their surname is Yi. According to the information that he knew, Ho Yi's descendants all had the surname Yi. Your surname is Yi, right? Ho Yi's descendant? Wang Kai squinted his eyes and asked instead of answering. Whoosh. As soon as he said this, the handsome young man's expression changed. His eyes flickered slightly as he said evasively, No, you've got the wrong person. Bastard, I asked you to tell me where the sun shooting bow is and how to get it back, not to ask who my young master is. Do you understand? Lu Xian hurriedly reprimanded. To the side, the youth surnamed Lu wiped the cold sweat off his forehead as he secretly cursed in his heart. He absolutely did not expect Wang Kai to see through him so thoroughly. Could it be that he really knows how to predict? Everyone in the Xianling domain knows where the sun shooting bow is. Isn't asking Ben Xiao an unnecessary question? Are you an idiot? Also, Ben Xiao does have a way to get the sun shooting bow back, and it's foolproof. However, why should Ben Xiao help you? Wang Kai shrugged and sneered with disdain. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 2,000 experience and 20 bragging points. Don't be rude. Why haven't you released this young master yet? Just as Lu Xian was about to explode in anger, the handsome young man hurriedly stopped him. His attitude had also changed greatly in an instant. "May I know young master's name? If you don't mind, why don't we become sworn brothers?" The handsome young man laughed softly. Fawning over him, just like that? Wang Kai couldn't help but grin. This was the primal chaos realm. Fortunately, the gods had appeared in this place before, and he also happened to know some things about the mythological era. Otherwise, it would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens to survive. "Little girl, Bin Xiao knows very well why you disguised yourself as a man. He has known it from the beginning. However, if you want to become friends with Bin Xiao and become sworn brothers, shouldn't you first reveal your true identity? Don't tell me you want to feign ignorance. I'm not afraid to tell you the truth. Pangu and the Great Sage are both Bin Xiao's sworn brothers. Niwa is Bin Xiao's sworn elder sister." Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled disdainfully. "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 2,000 experience and 20 bragging points." Whoosh! Hearing this, the two followers immediately expressed their disdain and snorted coldly. They didn't believe Wang Kai's nonsense at all. If he really had the ability to become sworn brothers with Pangu and Niwa, would he have been caught here? As for the fact that he had exposed the young master's identity, the two followers didn't care. They had already been discovered in the tea house. It was because of this that they had quickly left. However, they didn't expect Wang Kai to dare to follow them. Chapter 954. Ishu. The handsome young man's eyes flickered. After thinking for a while, he said softly, "Indeed, her surname was Yi. Moreover, it was inevitable that she would dress up as a man." Wang Kai shrugged and pretended to be disdainful. "This name is not good. Change it. Don't take advantage of Bin Xiao every time he calls you." "Take advantage?" Hearing this, the handsome young man was stunned. The two followers were also stunned. They couldn't help but mutter Ishu's name. Only then did they come to an understanding. "This name was given to me by my parents. It cannot be changed." Ishu shook her head and smiled faintly. Regarding this, Wang Kai's expression was extremely helpless. He held his forehead with one hand and sighed. "Forget it. The name given to me by my parents is indeed a blessing. Since you have already introduced yourself, I, Bin Xiao, cannot be impolite. I am the role model of the creation of the universe and the supreme master of the universe. My surname is Wang, and my name is Lousy. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 2,000 experience and 20 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to rank 3 Almighty Realm." Wang, Lousy? Ishu and her two followers were stunned on the spot when his voice sounded. "You just said that the name was given to me by my parents. The name Bin Xiao is indeed real. I was not willing to introduce myself previously because I was afraid that you would misunderstand. After all, it is not good to always treat others as lousy, although Bin Xiao has the potential." Wang Kai cupped his fists and said faintly, "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 2,000 experience and 20 bragging points." Ishu was stunned when she heard this. For a moment, she didn't know what to say. She couldn't tell whether Wang Kai was telling the truth or not. Helplessly, she cupped her fists and smiled. "Brother Wang." "Brother Wang?" Intentionally not saying lousy, Wang Kai raised his eyebrows slightly, but he didn't care about it. He shrugged and cupped his fists in response. "Sister, I wonder where Brother Wang is heading to this time. If there's nothing important, can you lend me a hand to take back the sun-shooting bow?" Ishu said with a faint smile. The two followers with the surname Liu and the surname Liu exchanged glances. They were also unable to catch up with the speed of Wang Kai and Ishu's interaction. Now, they were addressing each other as brother and sister. "I had nothing to do. Today, I coincidentally met Sister E. It was fate that brought us together. Naturally, I would lend a hand." Wang Kai's expression was rather indifferent as he smiled and said, "At the foot of the mountain gate of Xianling School, thousands of cultivators from all over the world were gathered below a square-high platform. Most of them were chaotic martial kings and almighties. Although there were the strongest Sage Realm cultivators, there were very few of them. At most, there were no more than 30 of them. Moreover, the auras of the Sage Realm cultivators who came were slightly weaker than that of the young man on the square-high platform. That kid is the sect leader of the Xianling School? He's so young? Wang Kai frowned and asked with a rather surprised expression. He had originally thought that being able to reach the almighty realm in his 20s was already very impressive. He didn't expect that in this world of cultivation, there would be someone younger than him who was at a higher realm than him. He's just hiding his true appearance. His true age is already around 50 years old. Lu snorted disdainfully. That's right. How can there be such a genius in this small Xianling domain? If everyone is like my young master, reaching the sage realm at the age of 20, wouldn't the world be turned upside down? Lu said proudly. Sage realm at the age of 20. Ishu was actually so impressive. Wang Kai grinned when he heard that. He glanced at Ishu with a rather surprised expression. He also didn't expect this girl to be so powerful. I'm 7 years younger than you, but I'm only at the almighty realm. Sigh, how sad. Wang Kai shook his head and sighed regretfully. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. What? When the two followers heard this, their eyes widened and they stared at Wang Kai with disdain. What the hell? Does Ben Xiao look very old? Damn, you have no taste at all. This is called precocious. Do you understand? 1 in a million potential. Wang Kai shrugged and said with a rather displeased expression. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to rank for Almighty Realm. I think you're 7 years older than our young master, right? The follower with the surname Lu snorted with disdain. Although you look very young, only 17 or 18 years old, your real age is definitely over 25, the follower with the surname Lu said plainly. Before Wang Kai could reply, Ishu also laughed softly and said, there are a total of 27 Dao marks on Brother Wang's Dao bone. It is precisely because of this that I address you as Big Brother. She had seen through him. Wang Kai's mouth twitched when he heard that. Even if he looked 17 or 18 years old, his real age couldn't be concealed. Didn't this mean that he would be called old when he bragged in the future? Thinking of this, Wang Kai suddenly frowned and secretly communicated with the system. What's going on? If I can hide my aura and cultivation level, why can't I hide my age as well? Host, hiding your age is useless. You're just lying to yourself. There are many ways to show off. Why do you have to talk about age? The system looks down on you. F***CK. Hearing this reply, Wang Kai's face darkened. He said in a rather cold voice, quickly hide my age. It's best if I undergo a complete transformation and get rid of the marks on my bones. Let me return to being 18 years old. Host, to hide your real age, 100 bragging points will be used. Host, to return to being 18 years old, 300 bragging points will be used. Host, which one do you want? Hearing the series of notifications, Wang Kai said without hesitation, of course I want to return to being 18 years old. Without hiding, my cultivation level is so high. Only this is worthy of Ben Xiao's supreme talent and limitless elegance. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 2,000 experience and 20 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully removing 9 marks and returning to being 18 years old. You spent 300 bragging points. Wang. Following the system notifications, Wang Kai could clearly feel that he had become much younger. Moreover, the vitality in his body had become even more intense. Just like when he was 18 years old, his vitality had increased 100 times. Wang Kai shook his head and sighed. Sigh, you guys don't believe me. Forget it. Actually, the marks on my bones were purposely put on by Ben Xiao. Ben Xiao's real age is only 18 years old. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 2,000 experience and 20 bragging points. Chapter 955. Dao marks can be faked? Are you kidding me? I've never heard of that before. Lu's follower laughed disdainfully. That's right. Dao marks are Dao marks. How can they be faked so easily? Lu's follower chimed in with disdain. However, Ishu's face was filled with shock. After Wang Kai finished speaking, she had already checked Wang Kai's Dao bones again. In the end, there were only 18 Dao marks. This proved that Wang Kai was indeed only 18 years old. You are really 18 years old. Ishu frowned and said with a tinge of annoyance. Wang Kai was only 18 years old, but she was 20 years old. If she called him Big Brother, wouldn't she be fooled? F***. He's really 18 years old? In the blink of an eye, the two followers also discovered Wang Kai's real age. In an instant, their faces were filled with shock. They looked at each other and felt disbelief. Could it be that Dao marks could really be fused? Since you can put the Dao marks on it, can you take them off? Ahem, it means to reduce them. The two followers' eyes were red as they spoke in a rather gruff tone. It could be seen that everyone in the world wished to become younger. Of course not. The so-called put-on is just an illusion technique. How can it become real? Wang Kai shrugged and said casually. His heart was filled with disdain. If he told them that he could reduce Dao marks, wouldn't he be showing off for nothing? You can't. The two followers were a little disappointed when they heard this. They didn't doubt Wang Kai's words. It was indeed impossible to change a Dao mark like the Dao mark. An almighty at the age of 18. His aptitude is indeed impressive. However, he's only considered a genius in the peripheral 100 regions. Moreover, he's only considered a medium genius. If he were to enter the central region, he would at most be an inferior genius. That's right. At the very least, you have to be like my young master, reaching the sage plane at the age of 20. Only then can you be considered a top genius in the outer 100 domains. Even if you enter the central region, you'll still be considered a mid-level genius. Seeing that Wang Kai was unable to fulfill their wishes, the two followers began to mock him in disdain. Could someone from the outer 100 domains be considered a mid-tier genius? But if they entered the central region, they would be considered inferior? What's it to show off about? You're already in your 40s, but you're only at level 9 of the Almighty Realm. If Ben Xiao is only a mid-level genius in the peripheral 100 territories, then you guys are not even low-level geniuses. At most, you're Ben Xiao. Wang Kai shrugged and snorted unhappily. Whoosh! When these words were spoken, the faces of the two followers immediately filled with rage. They gnashed their teeth and their eyes turned red. They even had the thought of killing Wang Kai. However, Wang Kai was right. The two of them also felt sad. If it weren't for their lack of talent, why would they be subordinates and servants? Since Brother Wang can reach the Almighty Realm at the age of 18, you probably won't even need to be 20 to reach the sage plane. Such talent is above mine. Ishu smiled faintly. Regarding this, the two followers were speechless. Indeed, Wang Kaijin had the ability to do so. Otherwise, who could reach the Almighty Realm at the age of 18? It was simply too rare. Reaching the sage plane at the age of 20. Wang Kai curled his lips when he heard this. He sneered inwardly. Let's not talk about the sage plane. Even if I wanted to reach the sage plane, it would only be a matter of bragging. Everyone, this trip to the giant soldier domain is extremely dangerous. If you don't have the heart to die, please leave. Of course, if you are willing to follow, even if misfortune befalls you, your family and clan will receive the protection of a Xianling school for 100 years. On the square platform, the rather young sect master of the Xianling school, who seemed to be in his 20s, spoke repeatedly. The people below were slightly hesitant. However, this hesitation disappeared very quickly. We are willing to follow the sect master to the death. As the crowd responded loudly, sect master of the Xianling school's face was filled with excitement. In the end, his expression became extremely grateful. Everyone is so generous to the Xianling school. In order to take back the treasure, you are willing to fight to the death. I am truly grateful. However, everyone can rest assured that regardless of life or death, we will protect your family and clan for 100 years. We will also give you the Sage Comprehension Pill as thanks. As soon as sect master of the Xianling school finished speaking, the crowd became extremely excited. Regardless of life or death, they would protect their family and clan for 100 years. They would also give them the Sage Comprehension Pill. Thank you, sect master. We will do our best. Looking at the cultivators who seemed to have been injected with chicken blood, as well as sect master of the Xianling school, Wang Kai suddenly grinned disdainfully. A bunch of idiots. They are indeed very stupid. They are also pitifully stupid. His two followers nodded and sighed in agreement. Ishu shook her head slightly and sighed. It's caused by greed. Such things can be seen everywhere in the world of cultivation. What should we do? Follow them into the giant soldier domain? Wang Kai asked, narrowing his eyes. Ishu nodded and said yes. After entering the giant soldier domain, we will have to rely on Brother Wang's ability to calculate and find the treasure, the sun-shooting bow. Hearing this, Wang Kai nodded in realization. No wonder they wanted to follow the Xianling school. They wanted to use these people as cannon fodder. If sect master of the Xianling school was vicious and merciless, Ishu was no less. However, it seems that they won't set off today. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled playfully. Sect master of the Xianling school had already given some instructions to an old man and left by himself. Moreover, the cultivators who had reached the almighty realm and the sage realm had also followed him. Only the chaotic martial kings were left there. Everyone, please rest assured. Although your cultivation level is not high enough, you will still fight with your lives on the line. The reward you deserve will not be less. Most importantly, it will not be less than that of the almighty realm and the sage realm. The old man on the high platform waved his hand and smiled. Many chaotic martial king realm cultivators obviously did not believe such words, but they did not argue about it. It was enough for them to get the promise given. Yes, in order to make everyone feel at ease, we will line up and announce our names one by one. It will also be good for the reward. As the old man finished speaking, everyone nodded silently and lined up neatly in a long line. Ishu's eyes flickered when she saw this scene. After thinking for a while, she said softly, "Let's go down and line up as well." Can we line up with them? Wang Kai frowned and asked in surprise. Don't worry, you only need to swallow this pill. Even if the Sage Realm experts come, they will not be able to see your true cultivation level. When the time comes, you only need to release your aura at the chaotic martial king level. Ishu signaled with her eyes and took out a black pill. Chapter 956. Don't worry. The corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitched. He had the system to hide his true cultivation level. Even if the sect master of the Xianling school came out to check, it would be useless, let alone these elders. He only asked because of Ishu and the others. After all, they didn't have the system, and their cultivation levels were only at the Sage Realm. However, with their cultivation level, it would be difficult for them to pass the inspection of the Xianling school. However, since they had this pill, Wang Kai didn't care. He didn't want to be found out and have to fight. They could fight, but he was only at the almighty realm. What are the effects of this pill? Wang Kai didn't completely trust them. After taking the pill, he secretly used his mind to communicate with the system. Host, this pill can hide one's cultivation level. In addition, it has the ability to track. As a system notification sounded, Wang Kai's eyes narrowed. He secretly thought that Ishu and the others didn't have any good intentions. They were afraid that he would run away, so they made him swallow a pill with the ability to track. After thinking about it, Ishu didn't hesitate to use so many cultivators as her shield. What else wouldn't she do? What is this pill called? Does it only have the effect of hiding one's aura? Even though he knew the effects of this pill, Wang Kai still looked at Ishu and the others with a smile. He wanted to know how they would hide it. To be more precise, Wang Kai wanted to see their awkward and unnatural expressions. This pill is called the Profound Qi Pill. Besides hiding one's aura, it has no other effect. Just swallow it with peace of mind. Ishu turned her head and smiled. In the face of such a calm Ishu, Wang Kai didn't see the scene he wanted to see. He could only say that she was too good at pretending. Hee hee. Boy, are you afraid that we will poison you? Follower Lu sneered disdainfully. If we really wanted to harm you, would we still need the pill? With your ability, humph, you won't even know how you died. Follower Lu coldly agreed. Don't be rude, Ishu said faintly as a cold glint flashed across her eyes. With regards to this, the two followers parted their lips and did not dare to say anything else. However, in Wang Kai's eyes, such a scene was rather interesting. Ishu's coldness in stopping them undoubtedly proved that she had a guilty conscience. Otherwise, they would have taken the initiative to bring up the matter of whether or not there was poison in the pill. He had no choice but to ponder over the mystery behind it. What a joke. Ben Xiao is the best in the world. Since he was born, he has been living with all kinds of poisons. Even his pee is an antidote, and his saliva can cure all incurable diseases. How could such a powerful Ben Xiao be afraid of poison? Wang Kai shrugged as a disdainful smile appeared on his face. Immediately, he flipped his hand and swallowed the pill without even the slightest hesitation. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 2,000 experience and 20 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 5th rank of the Almighty Realm. Not bad, boy, you have guts. You are indeed awesome. When the two followers saw how quickly Wang Kai swallowed the pill, they looked at each other and gave him a thumbs up. Their attitude was completely different from before. Regarding this, Wang Kai sneered in his heart. How could he not know that they were happy to feed him a poison pill so that they could know his movements at any time? Of course, Ben Xiao has always been bold. I vaguely remember that many years ago, a vicious woman deliberately got close to Ben Xiao and then secretly fed him a poison pill. She thought that she could control Ben Xiao, but in the end, her body was Ben Xiao's, and even her belongings were Ben Xiao's. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled playfully. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 2,000 experience and 20 bragging points. Swoosh. When these words came out, the two followers who were full of smiles froze. Even the corners of their mouths twitched unnaturally a few times. Looking at Ishu, who was in front, her body trembled as her eyes flickered incessantly. You think I can't handle you? Fuck, I can scare you to death now. When Wang Kai saw this, he laughed inwardly. A casual bragging analogy was enough to make them feel a little guilty. From this, it could be seen that no matter how scheming a person was, no matter how much he hid, he would still reveal unnecessary flaws at certain times. What are the four of you still doing there? Quickly come and report. Suddenly, a Xianling school disciple shouted. Ishu, Wang Kai, and the other three quickly responded and walked over. Li Wudong, 9th grade chaotic martial king, 22 years old. I come from the Li family of Fenglin Valley in the Xianling domain. These two are my followers. Ishu cupped her fists and said, Li Wudong, Fenglin Valley Li family? Hearing this, Wang Kai was stunned. He couldn't help but secretly admire this girl for being well prepared. She had probably expected this to happen. Not bad. Go up the mountain. Yes, what's your name? Where are you from? The young disciple pointed at Wang Kai and asked again. You just have to tell the truth. There won't be any trouble. Ishu secretly sent a voice transmission to him. Then, she led her two followers up the mountain. Tell the truth? When Wang Kai heard the voice transmission, he was speechless. He didn't know anything about the Xianling domain. If he had to say who knew, it would be Wang Yu. However, what he was going to do now was most likely to go against the Xianling school. If he revealed Wang Yu, wouldn't he be causing trouble for the third princess Ling Fei? Even if they had parted ways now, Wang Kai couldn't possibly harm her, right? Damn it. Can't you also say that Ben Xiao is a follower? Damn it. Wang Kai's face was sullen and sullen. I'm asking you a question. What are you thinking about? The young disciple chided impatiently. Ahem. Sorry, I was still upset just now, so I didn't have time to answer your question. Actually, I don't have a home. Wang Kai shook his head and said sorrowfully. No home. Ishu and the rest were stunned when they heard his words. They naturally knew that Wang Kai was lying, but they didn't expect him to tell such a childish lie. Where are you from then? What's your name? Why is your home gone? The young disciple asked with a frown. F***CKU. I already said that I don't have a home. Where else can I be from? The entire Xianling domain is my home. As for why my home is gone, who am I supposed to ask? Also, I'm here to risk my life with the Xianling school. Why are you asking me so many questions? Don't you find it annoying? Do you want me to go to the giant soldier domain myself? In an instant, Wang Kai frowned and raised his hand to point at the disciple's nose. He cursed and scolded him continuously. Chapter 9:57. In the face of Wang Kai's scolding, the young disciple was dumbfounded on the spot. The few elders on the square platform and the cultivators who were still queuing up were stunned. Looking at Ishu and the others, they were even more dumbstruck. He didn't expect that Wang Kai would actually get angry. Wasn't this just looking for trouble? You be ******. How dare you? What the F******* are you doing? Lie there and talk. Before the young disciple could finish his words, Wang Kai suddenly raised his hand and slapped the disciple's left cheek. Seeing this, the young disciple was furious. It was fine to be scolded, but Su Mo dared to hit him. He immediately turned his hand to counter the attack. You're courting death. You're the one who's overestimating yourself. Bang! Plop! Wah! Suddenly, when the two palms collided, the young disciple's arm was bent and he fell to the ground. He fainted on the spot. You're only a rank 1 almighty and you dare to act tough in front of Ben Shao. You don't know your place. Wang Kai shrugged and sneered with disdain. Swoosh! Seeing this scene, the expressions of many cultivators changed. All of them looked at Wang Kai in surprise and doubt. They never thought that this young man would actually have such ability. Moreover, everyone could see that Wang Kai only had 18 Dao marks on his Dao bone. This proved that he was only 18 years old. An 18-year-old almighty was ridiculously powerful. Oh my God, that's incredible. An 18-year-old almighty. Based on the combat power he displayed earlier, I'm afraid he's at least a rank 8 almighty, right? He's only 1 rank away from the Sage Realm. He has such aptitude at such a young age. I think he's not far away from the Sage Realm. Doesn't that prove that he's a top genius? To be exact, he's above the top geniuses. Following the discussions of many practitioners, Wang Kai could be said to be full of glory. He secretly thought that it was really worth it to return to being 18 years old. However, Wang Kai's real realm was only rank 5 Almighty Realm. The reason why he had the combat strength of rank 8 was because of his martial arts cultivation method and weapon. However, no one else would know about these things. My little friend, since you are an almighty, why don't you go up the mountain directly? The leading elder on the square platform asked with a warm smile. He wasn't angry because his sect disciple had been knocked to the ground. Instead, his praise for Wang Kai was extremely obvious. Indeed, being a rank 8 almighty at the age of 18 was indeed shocking. If he could be nurtured carefully, it would be easy for him to reach the sage plane at the age of 19. What? A mighty figure could directly ascend a mountain? Why hadn't Ben Shao heard of this before? Hey, that's right. You 3 idiots. Why didn't you tell Ben Shao just now? You caused Ben Shao to queue up here. Do you want to die? At the end, Wang Kai had already raised his hand and pointed at Ishu and the other 2. He even scolded them mercilessly. Seeing this scene, the elder's smile became brighter. From Wang Kai's actions, it was indeed in line with his age. He was indeed a young and inexperienced lad. Little brother, let me bring you up the mountain. Is that okay? The elder squinted his eyes and smiled. When Wang Kai heard this, he raised his eyebrows slightly and said arrogantly, It should have been like this long ago. How can such an awesome and handsome lad like Ben Shao line up here with this bunch of trash? This is a disgrace to Ben Shao. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. Bastard. Despicable lad. What a bragger. Damn it. If it weren't for the fact that he is an almighty, I would have slapped him to death. When the cultivators heard this, they were all cursing in their hearts. They were indeed aggrieved to be humiliated by Wang Kai. However, there was nothing they could do. After all, they were not as strong as him. Moreover, anyone with a discerning eye could see that the elder of Xianling School seemed to value Wang Kai very much. At this juncture, they dared not provoke him. What are you staring at? If you have the time, you might as well use it to cultivate or find a cliff to jump off and reincarnate and obtain Ben Xiao's extraordinary qualifications. Then, you can also act tough. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and smiled indifferently. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to rank 6 Almighty Realm. Whoosh! As soon as the elder finished speaking, Wang Kai walked up Xianling Mountain under the lead of the elder. Only the cultivators were left, staring at Wang Kai's back with livid faces. What the hell is this lad doing? Lu asked in a deep voice. Did he discover the mystery of the elixir? Lu's pupil shrank as he asked in surprise. Hearing this, Ishu, who was walking in front, frowned. She had a lot of thoughts in her mind. Originally, she wanted to take the opportunity to find out Wang Kai's identity. However, she did not expect to overreach herself. If she had known this would happen, she would have said that he was her follower. It is impossible for him to discover it. What he said before was just a test. Ishu shook her head slightly and said, she could not help but think of the vicious woman that Wang Kai had mentioned. She felt a chill in her heart. At the same time, Wang Kai, who had already arrived at Xianling School, was brought directly to the schoolmaster's hall by the elder. In the hall, the Xianling schoolmaster was sitting at the head of the table. When Wang Kai had come up the mountain, the elder had already passed the news to the schoolmaster. Who are you? Where are you from? The young and handsome schoolmaster of Xianling School sat on the chair and looked calmly at Wang Kai as he asked. Wang Kai, from the distant, invincible territory. Yes, Ben Xiao is the reincarnation of the invincible territory's territory master. Wang Kai said proudly with his hand behind his back. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. Invincible territory? The reincarnation of the territory master? Upon hearing this, schoolmaster of Xianling School's face darkened. How could he not know that Wang Kai was lying? He had never even heard of the invincible territory. As for the so-called reincarnation of the territory master, that was even more nonsense. Young man, I advise you to tell the truth. The schoolmaster appreciates you. If you can tell him where you came from, the schoolmaster might accept you as a disciple and train you to be the young schoolmaster of Xianling School. The elder reminded him with a frown. As soon as he finished speaking, schoolmaster of Xianling School nodded slightly in acknowledgement. He turned to look at Wang Kai and waited for an answer. No matter how talented he was, he had to investigate his background. Otherwise, how could he accept him so casually? I am indeed from the invincible territory. However, my talent is nothing there. I was also hunted down by my enemies, so I fled to the Xianling territory. It's a pity that I have no place to display my abilities. Wang Kai sighed without changing his expression. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. Chapter 958. The Xianling School's sect master's face sank. Naturally, he didn't believe Wang Kai's nonsense. The elders below were speechless. They thought that Wang Kai didn't even know how to lie. If what he said was true, he would have been chased by others. How could he still have the ability to escape? Young man, there are very few opportunities in a person's life. Important opportunities are even rarer. I hope you can think it through before you go to the giant soldier domain. Otherwise, you will lose your life there. The Xianling School's sect master waved his hand. The elder immediately understood. He looked at Wang Kai with a complicated expression and said, Let's go. Go to where you should go. Where I should go? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes. He casually glanced at the Xianling School's sect master and followed the elder out of the sect master's hall. Go to the Hall of Heroic Spirits before them, and order the cultivators there to make things difficult for him. As long as his life isn't in danger, you don't need to save him." The Xianling School's sect master said indifferently. Whoosh! As soon as he finished speaking, a figure wearing a black robe appeared in the hall. His face couldn't be seen clearly. He cupped his fists and replied, "Yes, sect master." Grand Elder, where are we going now? Don't tell me that Ben Shao's talent is too amazing and wants to find a place where no one is around to kill Ben Shao. Sai, it's true. Your sect master is too jealous of Ben Shao. It's Ben Shao's fault for being too ruthless. Wang Kai shrugged and shook his head with a sad expression. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 2,000 experience and 20 bragging points. The Grand Elder snorted and said, "Humph, you're quite good at bragging. I'm going to take you to the Hall of Heroic Spirits. The cultivators there are the same as you. They are all in the Almighty Realm. Tomorrow, the sect master will lead you to the giant soldier domain. Before that, you must think carefully." Hall of Heroic Souls? Wang Kai nodded slightly. He immediately understood the meaning of Xianling School's words. If he did not explain his origin and chose to submit to the Xianling School, what awaited him would be death in the realm of giant soldiers. But Ben Shao is telling the truth. He does come from the invincible domain. Oh right, Ben Shao once had another title, the Invincible Emperor. Wang Kai shrugged and said indifferently, "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through and reaching the 7th rank of the Almighty Realm." Hearing the prompt, Wang Kai sneered secretly. Once he reached the Sage Realm and reached level 6, would he still need to care about the headmaster of the Xianling School? He actually wanted to take him in as a disciple. He really overestimated himself. Invincible Great Emperor? Hee, you'll know the taste of defeat soon. I hope that when the time comes, you can still say that you are undefeatable. Go in. When they arrived in front of the palace, the Grand Elder raised his hand and pointed inside. Then, he turned around and left with a cold smile. I hope that you can consider it carefully. If it weren't for your amazing talent, the headmaster wouldn't have so much patience. Wang Kai directly ignored him. Even if he heard it, he would listen in one ear and let the other out. Hall of Heroic Souls. Looking at the 3 golden words above the palace, Wang Kai couldn't help but touch his nose. He was speechless. It should be called the Hall of Dead Souls. The people here are supposed to go to the realm of giant soldiers tomorrow. With their cultivation, it's not much different from going to the execution ground. In Wang Kai's opinion, if one wanted to survive in the realm of giant soldiers, they had to be at least in the Sage Realm. After all, the giant soldiers were already very strong. The giant soldiers that they cultivated were bound to be even more powerful. At the same time, they were causing trouble in other people's territory. Without absolute cultivation, it was impossible to survive. It seems that I have to reach the Sage Realm quickly. I'll raise my martial technique to the Almighty level tonight. According to the system's prompt, after reaching the Almighty level, the ability to surpass levels can be improved. Wang Kai frowned and thought for a while. Then, he stepped into the Hall of Heroic Souls. You are Wang Kai? At the entrance of the palace, several middle-aged men cupped their fists and raised their heads. They stared at Wang Kai with unfriendly expressions. Wang Kai's pupils shrank slightly. He had only told the headmaster of the Xianling School that his name was Wang Kai. Of course, the Grand Elder had also heard it. Then there was Yi Shu. However, she had told him that his name was Old Wang. However, these people knew that his name was Wang Kai, and they looked as if they were looking for a fight. The headmaster of the Xianling School is also a fool. He found people to provoke Ben Shao, but he didn't know how to choose a few smart people. He sent these even more stupid guys to cause trouble. Wang Kai secretly despised them, but his face was full of smiles. He nodded and smiled. Yes, it is indeed Ben Shao. Ben Shao is Wang Kai, the strongest person in the Xianling domain. He is also the awesome person who will soon dominate the giant soldier domain. Tell me, do you want to be Ben Shao's underlings? Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 2,000 experience and 20 bragging points. Ignorant brat. If I don't rub your bones, you really won't know who is strong and who is weak. Why are you talking nonsense with him? Beat him up first and make him behave. Hand of the void. Buzz. Suddenly, while these people were pretending to discuss, Wang Kai casually flipped his hand and swiped at the void. Is he scared out of his wits? Does he still want to? Bang! Asterisk rumble. Asterisk before they could understand what was going on. Their bodies were hit by a strange palm that came from the void, causing them to vomit blood and fall to the ground. Who? Cough, cough. Who sneaked an attack on us? The middle-aged men climbed to their feet with ashen faces. They wiped the blood from the corners of their mouths and coldly scanned the surrounding void as they roared. What are you shouting for? If someone is really attacking you in the dark, it can only prove that the person's strength is much higher than yours. If you keep shouting like this, you may lose your life next time. Wang Kai shrugged and sneered with a disdainful expression. Bastard! Let's beat him up first. Attack! Buzz! The middle-aged men looked at each other and activated the chaotic energy. They attacked Wang Kai with a mighty force. Sigh, why bother? Chaotic sky-swallowing halberd. Swoosh! Puff! Wang Kai curled his lips when he saw this. He flipped his hand and took out the primal chaos, heaven-swallowing halberd. Then, he thrust his hand forward. With the support of the primal chaos force, he skewered those people together. I won't hold back. At the same time, the voice of the heaven-swallowing beast was heard. The moment it finished speaking, the middle-aged men were swallowed and died on the spot. Seeing this, Wang Kai could not help but shake his head and sigh. Just a few rank 1, rank 2, and rank 3 almighty realm dregs. What are they thinking? Why are they looking for trouble with Ben Shao? Don't they know that Ben Shao has even killed a sage? Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 2,000 experience and 20 bragging points. Chapter 959. Bastard! Who told you to inform these useless almighty realm rank 3 and below? Are they a match for Wang Kai? Now that we need people, 4 of them are dead. In the Sectmaster's hall, Sectmaster of Xianling School's face was extremely pale. He stared coldly at the bronze mirror in the air as killing intent spread all over his body. What appeared in the bronze mirror was the image of Wang Kai using the chaotic sky, swallowing halberd to kill for almighty realm cultivators. Also, why did they ask if he was Wang Kai? Are they all idiots? Where did these idiots come from? Sectmaster of Xianling School reprimanded again. He was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. In response, the black-robed figure kneeling on one knee lowered his head and listened silently. After Sectmaster of Xianling School stopped reprimanding, the black-robed figure said, "It's my fault, but please rest assured, Sectmaster. 6 rank 9 almighty realm cultivators are already waiting inside. The ones who died outside were used by them to test Wang Kai's strength." Test his strength? What a bastard. Didn't you tell them that Wang Kai's cultivation is very strong? Sectmaster of Xianling School roared angrily. They don't believe it. They think that an 18-year-old kid. Enough. If they can't do this, they will be the first to die when they reach the giant soldier territory. Sectmaster of Xianling School waved his hand and interrupted. Sectmaster, I'm stupid. Why are you treating Wang Kai like this? If you anger him, won't there be a negative effect? The black-robed figure said in a deep voice. Hearing this, Sectmaster of Xianling School sneered and said indifferently, "If I don't give him some pressure, will he choose to get close to our sect? Once he is put in an important position by our sect, it will be easy for him to kill anyone he wants. He might not even need to do it himself, and no one would dare to provoke him. As for the negative effects, he is only a powerful being. What can he do? Sect leader is wise." When the black-robed figure below heard this, he finally understood what the sect master of Xianling School meant, and he began to pay more attention to Wang Kai. It wasn't hard to see that suzerain of Xianling School was determined to win over Wang Kai. These idiotic trash. What kind of people did you find? Suddenly, suzerain of Xianling school, who had just calmed down, heard the words coming out of the bronze mirror. He was so angry that his face turned ashen. Brat of all people you can offend. How dare you provoke Lord Sect Leader? Are you tired of living? In front of the Hall of Heroic Spirits, Wang Kai looked at the 6 old men who had come out and listened to their words. The corner of his mouth could not help but twitch. There were already 10,000 alpacas galloping in his heart. He did not expect that the people that suzerain of Xianling school found were all idiots. They were even more stupid than the previous few. They directly said that they were sent by suzerain of Xianling school. I guess suzerain of Xianling school is about to go crazy from anger. Wang Kai shook his head speechlessly. He waved the chaotic heaven, swallowing halberd, and said faintly, "That's right. 6 peak level 9 almighty beings. If I kill all of them, my combat strength will increase a lot." Kill all of them? Increase his combat strength? Hearing those words, the faces of the 6 old men sunk. They never would have thought that this 18-year-old brat would actually have such a big tone. As for the so-called increase in combat strength, they treated it as a practice to increase their experience. I will only give you one chance. You go first. If you don't let me, poof, plop. Suddenly, before the old man could finish speaking, the chaotic heaven swallowing halberd had already pierced through his heart. His eyes were wide open as he fell to the ground. He was no longer breathing. He died on the spot. Congratulations to the host for successfully killing a peak level 9 almighty realm cultivator. You have gained a total of 2,000 experience points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through and reaching level 8 almighty realm. Such a scene directly frightened the other 5 old men to the point that their expressions changed. All of them looked in disbelief at their dead comrade on the ground. Only now did they know that what Wang Kai said was true. He was indeed very strong. He was so strong that they could not fight against him. Bastard, bastard, what are you still standing there for? Why don't you hurry up and stop this fight? Do you want to watch 5 almighty realm level 9 almighty realm cultivators die in vain? If you want to die, you should die in the giant soldier territory. In the Sectmaster's hall, Sectmaster of Xianling School was furious as he looked at Wang Kai, who had killed a peak level 9 almighty realm cultivator in one move. He was as angry as he had been for the past few decades. Yes, I will go now. Even after the black-robed figure swiftly disappeared, the Xianling sect leader's face was still extremely green. He stared intently at Wang Kai in the bronze mirror, and his pupils suddenly shrunk. Another one dead? Because he clearly saw that Wang Kai had killed another almighty realm level 9 cultivator with a halberd strike. Congratulations to the host for successfully killing a peak level 9 almighty realm cultivator. You have gained a total of 1,000 experience points. Hearing the notification, Wang Kai shrugged and threw the corpse on the chaotic heaven, swallowing halberd to the ground. He turned to look at the remaining 4 old men and said flatly, "Of all the people you could find trouble with, why did you have to find trouble with Ben Shao? Why bother?" Hearing this, the 4 old men's faces turned ashen. They were scared out of their wits after witnessing the death of 2 people who were not weaker than them. Plop! The 4 old men all knelt on the ground and looked at Wang Kai with pleading eyes. They kowtowed and cupped their fists, saying, "Young hero, please spare our lives. Spare our lives." Spare your lives? If Ben Shao was no match for you and begged for mercy, would you choose to let Ben Shao go? Wang Kai shrugged and sneered with disdain. Whoosh! Hearing this, the 4 old men's faces stiffened. Originally, they were ordered by the Sectmaster of Xianling School to deal with Wang Kai. If they could really defeat Wang Kai, they would not let him go even if he begged for mercy. After all, it was an order from the Sectmaster of Xianling School. If they could complete it, they would be rewarded handsomely. If they could defeat Wang Kai, they would not let him go. Who would go against the reward? Although that was the reason, the 4 old men did not dare to say it out loud. Of course not. Die. Buzz. Puff, 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 puff. Suddenly, under Wang Kai's halberd, The bodies of the four-peak Rank 9 Almighty Realm cultivators exploded, turning into a rain of blood that scattered in all directions. They had all died. Congratulations to the host for successfully killing 4-peak Level 9 Almighty Realm cultivators. You have gained a total of 4,000 experience points. Whoosh! At the same time, the black-robed figure appeared in the sky above the hall. He looked down at the 6 dead cultivators and was stunned for a moment. In the current situation, there was no need for him to go down. Chapter 960. Quickly send him to the Hall of Spiritual Sages and find a few lower sages to pressure him. Don't go too far, and don't find any more idiots. Otherwise, you will be held responsible. As the voice of the sect leader of Xianling School came, the black-robed figure quickly bowed to the void. He knew that the sect leader was in a rage. Before the army could be deployed, a total of 10 Almighty Realm cultivators had died in the giant soldier territory. Among them, 6 were at the peak of 9th grade Almighty Realm. With such a loss, if he could not complete the task that the sect leader had given him, he was afraid that, whoosh. Thinking of this, the black-robed figure could not help but tremble. After giving Wang Kai a cold stare, he turned into light spots and disappeared. At the same time, Wang Kai raised his head and frowned. He glanced at the void in surprise. Although he did not discover it thoroughly, he could sense that someone was watching him. He had not raised his head to look at him because his cultivation was too strong. Now that the perception had disappeared, he glanced at him. Who is it? The sect leader of Xianling School? It shouldn't be him. If he was spying on me, I would not even be able to sense it. Wang Kai frowned and thought to himself. At the same time, thousands of Almighty Realm cultivators in the Hall of Heroic Spirits appeared around the door. They all bowed to Wang Kai with their fists clasped and hands folded. Don't worry, Ben Xiao has never killed the innocent. He treats strangers like his own brothers. Even if they offend Ben Xiao will be merciful. Wang Kai waved his hand and smiled in a friendly manner. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 2,000 experience and 20 bragging points. Congratulations on successfully breaking through to 9th grade Almighty Realm. Host, Wang Kai Occupation, Chaotic Warrior Realm. 9th grade Almighty Realm Cultivation Method. Daluo Vajra Body Martial Arts Technique. Void Hand Equipment. Chaos Sky Swallowing Halberd the Power of God. Level 1 Bragging Points. 520 Experience. 07000 Wang Kai raised his eyebrows slightly when he heard the notification and saw the system page that appeared in his mind. It seemed that if he wanted to reach the Sage Plane, he would have to brag at least 4 times. What are you all still standing there for? Quickly lead the way and find a good place for Ben Xiao to rest. Could it be that they all wanted to die? I'm not afraid to tell you that Ben Xiao once sneezed and killed thousands of Sage Realm cultivators. Wang Kai said as he glared at them. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. When the many cultivators heard this, their expressions froze. Earlier, they had heard Wang Kai say that he would not casually harm others. However, right after he said that, he started to threaten them. You don't have to go in. The sect master has ordered you to rest in the Hall of Spiritual Wisdom. Suddenly, just as Wang Kai was about to step into the hall, the Grand Elder appeared at the entrance and looked at Wang Kai with a complicated expression. When he received the message from the black-robed figure, the Grand Elder was also shocked. He had not expected the sect master to specially arrange for cultivators to deal with Wang Kai. What was even more unexpected was that Wang Kai was actually unscathed and had even killed 10 Almighty Realm cultivators. Among them, 6 were at the peak of 9th grade Almighty Realm. Such battle prowess was indeed enough to make people envious. After all, such a genius was only 18 years old and had a bright future ahead of him. Hall of Spiritual Wisdom. Hearing this name, could it be the place where the Sage Realm cultivators live? Wang Kai frowned and said with a speechless expression. Needless to say, the sect master of the Xianling School must have seen that the Almighty Realm cultivators could not deal with him and wanted him to go to the Sage Realm cultivators. He was afraid that the cultivators of the Sage Plane were all ready to deal with him. That's right. Your combat strength has already exceeded the level of the Hall of Heroic Spirits. Therefore, you should not stay here. Let's go. When you reach there, you will have more room for development. The Grand Elders said faintly. More room for development? Most likely. There were even more powerful cultivators who were preparing to beat him up. Thinking of this, Wang Kai suddenly frowned and snorted with a displeased expression. Bin Xiao has to go wherever I want him to go? What a joke. Bin Xiao is tired. He'll rest here first. It won't be too late to go after he wakes up. Swoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Kai stepped into the hall. When the surrounding cultivators saw this, they were all terrified and wanted to move aside to make way. Among them, there were still many Almighty Realm 9th level peak cultivators. However, at this moment, they were very clear that even if they attacked together, they might not be Wang Kai's opponent. It was better not to provoke him. Ayu. Seeing this, the Grand Elder's face stiffened. He did not expect that Wang Kai would dare to reject the sect master's order. However, he did not dare to reprimand him. After all, Wang Kai was valued by the sect master. Once Wang Kai passed the sect master's test, he would definitely become the most honorable disciple of the Xianling school. At that time, even the Grand Elder would have to be polite to him and would not dare to provoke him. Damn Black Shadow. You don't want to provoke Wang Kai, but you asked me to send a message. Damn it. Even though the Grand Elder was over 50 years old, he could not help but curse at this moment. And what he thought was indeed true. The black-robed figure naturally knew that the sect master valued Wang Kai very much. If he could successfully take him in, he would definitely become the next sect master of the Xianling school. If he personally came to send a message and provoked Wang Kai, wouldn't he be cutting off his own path of retreat? Then let him rest for 6 hours. After the time limit, let him go to the Hall of Spiritual Wisdom. Suddenly, just as the Grand Elder was feeling helpless, the Xianling school sect master's voice entered his ears. Hearing this, his heart suddenly jumped violently. Yes, sect master. The Grand Elder cupped his fist and bowed. He was even more certain that the sect master appreciated Wang Kai more and more. He was even willing to let him rest first. One should know that 10 Almighty Realm cultivators had just died. This loss was not small. Even so, the sect master had no intention of punishing Wang Kai. Hey, who is not convinced? Is there anyone who doesn't like Bin Xiao and wants to kill Bin Xiao? If there is, then stand out. Don't worry, Bin Xiao has never killed. He just wants to learn from each other. Wang Kai frowned and asked playfully. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 2,000 experience and 20 bragging points. Whoosh. Hearing this, the corners of the cultivators' mouths twitched violently. Never killed? Were the 10 Almighty Realm cultivators who had just died all fake? We don't dare. Although they did not know what kind of weirdo Wang Kai was to think of a way to kill people, if they provoked him now, they would definitely not be able to escape death. Sigh. Bin Xiao really is never killed. Even when he walks, he always pays attention to ants and plants. How could he kill people? You guys are too cowardly and don't believe in Bin Xiao's noble character. Wang Kai shook his head and sighed unhappily. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 2,000 experience and 20 bragging points. Chapter 9, 61. Host. Wang Kai Occupation. Chaotic Martial Artist Realm. Almighty Grade 9 Cultivation Method. Daluo Diamond Body Martial Technique. Hand of Void Equipment. Chaos Sky Swallowing Halberd the Power of God. Level 1 Bragging Points. 580 Experience. 6000700 inch ahem. I still have to brag a bit more before I can reach the Sage Plane. When that time comes, I'll upgrade my equipment to the Sage Plane. Even if I go to the Hall of Spirit Sage, I'll still be able to show off. Wang Kai frowned and thought to himself. Wang Kai, the sect leader has ordered you to rest in the Hall of Heroic Spirits for 6 hours. Don't waste time and rest quickly. After all, The outcome will not change, the Grand Elder said calmly. Whoosh. However, once those words were spoken, the First Elder's expression stiffened. Only then did he manage to react. He simply should not have added that last sentence. If that was the case, wouldn't it be as if he already knew that he would be beaten up if he went to the Hall of Spiritual Virtue? Wouldn't that be provoking him in another way? The outcome will not change. As expected, within the Hall of Heroic Spirits, Wang Kai asked coldly while grinding his teeth. When the Grand Elder heard that, the corners of his mouth twitched violently. For a moment, he did not know what to say. I cough, old man did not mean that. What old man meant was that you were appreciated by the sect leader. This will not change, the Grand Elder said hurriedly towards the hall. In the end, the Grand Elder walked into the Hall of Heroic Spirits and went straight to Wang Kai's side. He asked about his well-being and explained nonstop. In response, Wang Kai shrugged and said while digging his ears, "All right, don't say any more. Ben Shao knows that this has nothing to do with you. You can't do anything about it." Hearing this, the Grand Elder was stunned. After all this time, it turned out that Wang Kai did not hold a grudge against him at all. However, he secretly heaved a sigh of relief. At the same time, he thought of the black-robed figure again. The Grand Elder's eyes flashed, and he transmitted his voice to Lin Fan. Actually, all of this was done by Black Shadow. He gave the order on behalf of the sect leader. He was also the one who personally found the culprit to teach you a lesson so that you would admit defeat. Black Shadow. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows slightly, touched his nose, and asked in surprise, "Who is Black Shadow? What does Sovereign want Ben Shao to do?" "You don't know?" The Grand Elder was shocked when he heard this. He was speechless as he thought to himself. After all this time, the sect master's plan was King useless. The person involved did not even know what was going on. If he didn't even know the situation, why did he want him to admit defeat? What sect master means is that he wants you to see the reality clearly. If you feel angry after being beaten up and want to take revenge, tell us your true origin. By then, sect master will treat you well too. It's not that the old man is spouting nonsense. By then, even the old man will have to obey you, the Grand Elder said with a wink. Oh, that's it? Who is Black Shadow then? Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders after hearing this, not bothered at all. Besides, he was feeling helpless too. It wasn't that he didn't want to tell them about his origin, but rather, there was really no place for him to tell them. Tell them about the starry sky of the heavenly domain? Would they believe him? Even if they did, they might get into trouble. As for the places in the chaotic realm, the only place he was familiar with was the Wang's territory. He couldn't possibly bring trouble to the Wang's territory, right? After all, he might have to get into a fight with the Xianling school. No one knew whether he would be an enemy or a friend in the future. Black Shadow is a nickname. He's the sect master's personal guard, and his cultivation level is only 2 grades lower than the sect master's. In terms of status and power, he's the second in the Xianling school. However, don't worry. As long as you admit defeat, you'll be the second and he'll be the third, the Grand Elder said carefully. Is number 2 very good? Wang Kai asked with a frown and humphed in displeasure. You can have number 3 then. I'll give you the position of Grand Elder. The Grand Elder said with a smile. Although Wang Kai had yet to become the future successor of the Xianling school, he was probably destined to be the successor given how much the sect master appreciated him, as well as Wang Kai's age, talent, and qualifications. It wouldn't be a bad thing to suck up to him beforehand. Is being number 3 very good? 4 won't do, and anything beyond 5 is even more out of the question. Wang Kai curled his lips and said with an inexplicable expression, "Whoosh." As expected, the Grand Elder's expression changed when he heard that. He stared at Wang Kai in shock. After a while, he asked in a low voice, "You want to be number 1? Why? With Ben Shao's talent and age, don't you think he's qualified?" I'm not afraid to tell you that Ben Shao can reach the Sage Realm at any time. He can even reach the Sage Realm easily. It's because Ben Shao's foundation is stable and his comprehension is strong, Wang Kai said with a shrug. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 2,000 experience points and 20 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through and reaching the rank 1 Sage realm. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through and upgrading God Bless to level 2. Host, Wonkai occupation, chaotic martial artist realm, Sage realm, rank 1 cultivation method, Daluo Vidra body martial technique, hand of void equipment, chaos sky swallowing halberd the power of God, level 2 bragging points, 600 experience, 10007000. After hearing the notification, Wonkai casually glanced at the system page and closed it with his mind. He wasn't surprised. Wonkai faintly glanced at the first elder, whose face was dark and uncertain, before he transmitted his voice again. Opportunity knocks, but once lost, it won't come again. Take a look at this young master's cultivation base. Buzz. Wonkai pressed on the Grand Elder's shoulder, and his aura seeped in. It was the aura of the Sage realm. Whoosh! This shocking turn of events caused the first elder's pupils to constrict. He had never imagined that Wonkai would be able to break through so easily. Previously, he was still in the Almighty realm. Now he had reached the Sage realm. Are you trying to get the old man to defect? The Grand Elder frowned and asked through telepathy. His expression was ugly. He looked like he would turn hostile at any time, but the hesitation in his eyes made it seem like he would agree at any time. Even Wonkai couldn't tell what he was thinking. One had to admit that the first elder was very scheming. No. Why would Ben Shao have such thoughts? I just want to ask Grand Elder, where should Ben Shao come from in the Xianling domain? Wonkai narrowed his eyes and asked through telepathy. Whoosh! Hearing this, the Grand Elder's eyes flickered. He naturally understood what Wonkai meant. Undoubtedly, he wanted him to tell him a place where he couldn't find any loopholes in order to gain the sect leader's trust. More importantly, he wanted to sound him out. If he really helped him, it would prove that he had been instigated. Who are you? What do you want? Even though he knew everything, the Grand Elder didn't agree immediately. Instead, he asked in a serious tone. At this point, the Grand Elder felt that Wongkai's background was very bad. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.